Daniel is almost 30 minutes late today.
No,
Yes, he
I am
is.
on
Yes, he
time.
is.
Oh my god.
And you know what? He disappeared. He was 30 minutes late. He left his phone in another room. So when I'm like, where are you? He can't see it. He's dead to the world.
Right,
Me
I
and
wanna-
John were sat here. We're about to call the police, Daniel.
Yeah.
Look, I want to point several things out. One, it's 11 a.m. on a Sunday. Who the fuck schedules a podcast for I haven't even had my first shot of heroin yet. This is an awful
Sorry,
time.
why are
I
you
think
talking
11 is
about like we
fine.
have not? Why are you
11 is
talking like they have
fine.
Monday to Friday jobs? Like a Sunday is a special day for us.
It is a
Because it's
special
not.
day. I went to the shops. I go to the shops on a Sunday, and you know what happened? The shops were
They
shut.
weren't
'cause the
open
clocks
because
changed.
it's a Sunday, the Sunday trading legislation. It's the one day you shouldn't go to the shops.
No, you get in early, and you could meet all the lovely old people. But fucking the clocks changed, so the shops were closed, so it knocked my day off by an hour. So I was only 25 minutes late, but I wasn't late because John's original setup for this was, how about around 11 on
Okay,
a Sunday?
two
and I turned
things.
up at about 23,
I'm not
24
having that,
minutes
alright.
past.
I was originally thinking, when you say about something, I think that gives you 10 minutes of leeway. But I actually disagree with myself in retrospect, because I think it's about rounding up or rounding down to the nearest quarter. So I think actually you've got 7 minutes and 29 seconds. Or if you say 11-ish, you got to be there no later than 11 hours, 7 minutes and 29 seconds. All right,
this is needlessly
7:29
convoluted, John,
after
to be
11.
honest.
After that, you're around quarter past.
I was on your side, John, but honestly, the
Yeah,
level of
I don't know.
convolution.
I think you just turned everyone. Everyone's like, yeah, 12, that's around 11.
Oh, just as a point, by the way, the clocks went back.
I don't know what that means.
So Daniel should have been an hour early.
I have ADHD. I don't understand time at the best of times. On some day it changes or the clocks change.
This is the most ADHD-friendly day of the year.
No, it's
where
not.
Even
Oh
if
my
you're
God,
an
no,
hour
it's not.
late,
Oh my
you're
God,
actually
God,
still
John.
fine.
Oh my God, no, it's not. Oh my
It
God.
throws
It
you,
is.
man.
It means literally, even if you're an hour late, you're
No.
actually okay.
No, that's not how ADHD works.
Like, time has just gifted you an extra hour to do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's not.
You
really.
can just, like, get distracted and do
That's
something
not.
else that you're not supposed to be doing for an hour and you're
Yeah,
still on time.
that's not how
Best
ADHD
ADHD
works.
day.
No, it's
not.
not.
how
Happy
it works.
ADHD day,
Not
everybody.
at all how it works.
It's thrown me. I don't like time, and then the time changes.
Also, you didn't put it in your calendar, which wouldn't help either.
I didn't put it on my calendar because John is awful at keeping the schedules and times and stuff.
Sorry,
and changes
It's
it
good
all
to
the
be
time.
honest.
arranged it,
I
and you
have
went,
on
that time
occasion been a
works.
bit late, but never more late than my just definition of lateness is, I think.
Did you both turn up at exactly 11?
I turned up at exactly 11.
I
John
think you said
turned up
11.
at
I think
5
I
past.
was, what was I, about like 3-4 minutes past, maybe 5?
no,
Well,
John
that's
was here
basically
at
quarter
11-ish.
past.
I was within 7.5 minutes, was I not, Matt?
Yeah, no, you were. John was here at 11ish.
I was here at 11ish.
I was here at 11
11-ish?
on the dot.
I will agree, you were there at 11-ish, but I was there at around 11, which is what we were aiming for.
Oh, okay, hang on. That's you know what? I will give you, I think around you're allowed to be within the semicircle.
There we go,
of
and I
time.
was.
No, you're not.
I
No,
was.
you're not. Within the semicircle would mean between quarter to 11 and quarter past 11. I'd think around is in the same semicircle of time.
And rounding
as
up
the time
with your
you said.
7.5 minute
You
roll.
showed up around 11:30.
No, I showed up around
But
11.
you didn't show up about 11:30. Actually, maybe you did show up about 11:30. I can't remember what time you showed up now.
22 minutes past.
It wasn't. Sorry,
No,
it was not
that's
22.
about quarter. That's about
That's
quarter
obje-
to 12.
I
That's
text
about quarter to
Rebecca
12
at
and around half
25
11.
past.
Look, I
I
was
want you to know, I've been thinking about this for a very long time, because I want you to know that approximately 2 decades ago, however long it's been, when me and Claire started dating, our first date, she said she was going to show up around a certain time. And she was so late, I thought I'd been stood up. And to this day, I almost went home thinking I'd been stood up by Claire. And to this day, she argues she showed up about the right time and it was close enough. And I think that was far too late for showing up to a first date. So we've been having this argument for
what
the
was
fourth.
time? What was the time difference?
We need to know
I
the details.
can't remember. It's
Well,
too long
you've been
ago
thinking
now.
about
It's
it for
lost
20
this
years,
time, and
you
obviously
can't remember.
this predates email and mobile phones. So we can't.
so
we don't have a
John,
record
you
of
were
this.
saying,
John,
you were saying it was pre the date when you turned up. Therefore, Claire was right.
Look, we agreed we were going to show up at 6 shillings and halfpenny, and she showed up at 2 guineas. Okay?
Whoa.
And I think that's too late.
Why are you using money as a token kind? Like, I understand the adequatedness that joke you're trying to go for, but that is the one. So,
Were you
Because there's no antiquated time I can insert into that joke.
You could have used that weird decimal time that the French used for like 3 years during the Revolution.
That's true, but I don't know if about that to specify what that is. Stupid smart time.
Were you waiting underneath the big clock at Waterloo with a red carnation in your top pocket?
No, actually, it was Covent Garden. It was the Covent Garden Christmas market, so we got together around Christmas time. Wholesomeness.
That's not
We'll
wholesome,
get back
that's
to bickering with each other
desperation,
about
John.
clocks.
John, that's desperation. Looking up something for Christmas.
I got a lot of pictures of when you and Rebecca started dating. Daniel, don't fucking tell me about it.
And when did I get together with Rebecca? Only fucking
year.
November, which is Halloween, mate.
No, that's true. Oh, it's around now.
It's around Halloween.
Yeah.
Right, I'll tell you what though, John, if you agree with me that 11...
Well, I don't think we... I think that's
listen.
That's a big if,
If
Daniel.
you agree with me that 11 is around, 11:25, say, is around about 11...
I agree that is both about 11:30 and around 11:30, but I think it is neither about or around 11.
Well, I would then argue that you have around 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, I'd argue that as well.
No, I think that's bullshit.
That's
complete nonsense.
Oh,
I think I have around and about 500,000 subscribers. That's fine. I think if I went around saying, "Oh, I've got around 1 million subscribers," there was what's the exact number, I'd be fucking embarrassed to be caught out in that lie.
If you're saying you got around 500,000, that's ignoring I assume, the 49 remaining thousand. If we do hours in each day, I think what you're doing there is basically agreeing with me. If you take the hours of each day and spread it across 1 million
You've literally just demonstrated to me with a parallel example that I agree with my original position and disagree with yours.
No.
What level of bullshit argumentation is this?
If we're
taking right.
If we're taking the clock face to be 2.4 million subscribers for the 24 hours that are in a day, which is quite about what I've got, around about what I've got, so it's fine to do that, then you're about 5:30. But you're saying you're actually at 5. Therefore, I'm right.
What?
If an hour is a million subscribers...
In gaming news!
If an hour is 1 million subscribers, right? Simple logic. An hour is 1 million subscribers. Then you're at 549.
An hour is 1 million subscribers.
Yes. To get up to mix, I'm at 2.4, which is 24-hour clock. It fits beautifully here. So you're.
I'll be honest. Daniel, when this podcast goes out, it's probably going to be 2.3.
I'm going to be honest. I think your clock's not in the best shape, Daniel.
Matt, that's about 2.4.
I think you need to take that clock into the shop, mate. It seems to be losing time.
Well, here's an argument. Because when we're saying about, it does depend on to what degree you're talking. If you say, for example, about 2.5, that is within a very specific range of 2.5. If you say about 2...
About, I'm fucking with. But around 11 a.m.
Okay, hang on.
If there's a shooting...
Are we in agreement that about needs to be closer than around?
Yes.
Where does they mean the same thing?
No, they're not.
Does it... No. Hear me out here. In that spectrum, if we're saying about is the most close to and around is wider, where does it ish fit into that? If I told you about
tighter.
11, around 7, then 11-ish, which is the closest and which is the second closest?
Ish is closest.
Ish is closest, yeah. I'd agree
and
with
then
really?
about.
I would have said
around.
About was closer than ish, but I would have put ish in the middle, like about-ish, around.
No, if someone says I'm going to turn up yours at 11ish, you've got a 5-minute window. And I'll be annoyed.
Yeah, you say 11ish. It is 11,
no, right.
a tiny bit of leeway.
If there was some sort of shooting near you, but you weren't like super close to it, but you could hear it, you would tell people that you were around the location where the shooting happened.
Okay, physical and time are different.
What fucking physics is about to jump in this conversation and go, well, actually.
Here we go.
But I'm not going to bring that up yet because we're stuck on what the word around means, and I think advanced.
No, we all agree on what the word around means. We're disagreeing on the interpretation of how broad
Well,
the
actually,
definition is.
we agree on what the word around means?
Oh my god.
No.
I hate this fucking podcast.
I mean, let's be honest, right? The nice thing about this podcast is you can still slag off Disney, and we're not going to leave you.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm gonna still slag off Disney. I'm just gonna do it under the different title with Mike. John, my podcast got killed. Disney are gonna be distributing Doctor Who, and Mike Bithel's making a game with Disney, and he doesn't want to. Smartly doesn't want to potentially endanger his future professional career just to talk shit about Doctor Who.
What a bastard! I mean, how dare he?
Yeah, I mean, we came to that decision
Mike.
together. He's not a bastard, but he is around being a bastard. Like, it's quite...
I think he's bastardish.
Oh, you think he's that close to being a bastard? Oh, okay.
No, I think Ish is the mid-tier one. I still think About is closer than Ish.
I mean, I can't even Google this.
John, which is closer to 11? About-ish or around?
I mean, if it says ish versus about versus round.
Round. This has got to be a thing.
Using about, around, and ish, learning English. Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, about, around, and ish, learn English. What's the answer?
So, blah, blah.
Though I should point out, this page has officially got a vote of 2.3 out of 5, suggesting this is a contentious issue.
No, yeah, it says... It's about 2, but it's 2.3.
That's
it's
2-ish.
However, ish is the most casual / informal.
Ooh, I mean, that's true because it's not a word.
Yeah, but like, it says they all show that you're unsure and giving a rough guess / estimate.
Yeah, but we need a ranking system.
Okay, about versus
Okay,
ish,
quickly,
what's
to
the
wiki difference.
Wiki difference.
Yeah, to wiki diff.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it compares two words even if they've got not much in common.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. It's just giving me the definitions, which isn't very helpful.
No, not in the slightest. What we need is some clickbait YouTuber to do like a tier ranking thing.
Hey, if you could do it Worms Armageddon.
A tier maker ranking thing.
Sure, do you want to put up Worms Armageddon in the background and have about-ish and around and see who wins?
I mean,
look,
actually,
you can mock all you want, but until you are in possession of a machine that correctly predicts everything that's ever been put to it, you can shut up.
Can we just say, by the way, that this is...
My machine has been right in every way so far.
We've had 3 podcasts in a row who've had a different Prime Minister.
It's true.
Oh, shit.
And the fun thing is, because of course some people are going to hear this, like, get the early access version next week, and some people got to wait 2 weeks after. You don't know which Prime Minister we're talking about. The people who get it early. Actually, has there been a point, Matt, quick, check the calendar. Has there been a point where the people who have got it early access and the people who get it on the public release have had a different Prime Minister?
I mean...
that's a good question. Wait.
That probably has happened.
Check Wikidiff.
Where did Boris resign? Fuck it. Oh, God.
I don't even know who the new PM is.
Check Wikidiff between Boris Johnson and Theresa May.
Did you know the amount of people getting diagnosed with dementia is going up? Because the doctor's like, okay, and who's the Prime Minister? They're like, I don't know! It could be fucking anyone! It's Boris, isn't it? Is Boris back? I can't remember.
I mean...
No, he's not, because my worm simulation said he wasn't coming back, so he dropped out straight afterwards.
Part of the argument by Liz Truss was that their manifesto promises were around what Boris promised.
Look, I'm glad the country is now in the safe hands.
I've got a mandate-ish.
Oh, does Claire know?
We're about legitimate.
Did you show up for your mandate with a red little flower in your top pocket underneath the Waterloo Bridge?
Look, I can't remember, but at the time I was about Matt's age, so I was probably a little twat dressed up like a child. I don't know.
So how long ago was that? You said 20 years ago. So about
I was
Matt's
estimating.
age.
I lose track of time.
Whoa, now we brought estimation into it. Fuck.
I will say, right,
it was I showed roughly.
When I have conversations
roughly.
right, many times, because there's about a 4.5, 5 year age gap between us. And a lot of times I'll say about our age, referring to all of us.
We laugh.
Which is broadly referring to sort of like mid-adulthood, right? Around your 30s.
Mid-adulthood? I think technically I'm not at mid-adulthood yet by the modern definition. You two are embryos.
Fine. Okay, fine, whatever.
Well, you said around 30. You're using the word around there.
Well, yes.
Christ, I wish I was around 30. Life was easier when I was around 30. My hip didn't hurt as much.
On my shoulder, John. If I got a fucked up shoulder from all the signing prints, I fucked it.
It's almost like you're signing them on a
fucking... that's a proper fucking humble brag. Oh, my wrist hurts for all the autographs I have to sign on a daily basis. Oh.
25th of October. Right, so hang on. So, admittedly, if we'd have recorded this on time, we would have still had list choice.
Yes.
Actually, if this podcast had went out on the intended date, which would have been the 24th, actually that would have went out on the day Rishi's tune took office.
I'm very sorry. That's my fault. I got a dog, and dogs turn out to be a lot of work.
What's your dog called?
My dog's called Ted.
Good name for a dog.
Well, his full name's Teddy Choosevelt.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a terrible name for a dog. I'm doing a tweet.
Good name for a dog. I like it.
Also Tedwood.
Around-ish
about.
Tweet. Right, I've tweeted it.
Tweet?
Yeah, but you can't do
it. You don't have Twitter.
You can't do a ranked poll in Twitter. All right, it's one of the things you're not allowed to do.
No, he doesn't even have access to Twitter. I don't know what he's doing.
Elon, if you're listening to this, Elon, we need ranked polls.
No,
hang on, wait. Okay, so wait. The first responses are in. The first response is, oh, that's a racial slur.
What the fuck's
happening?
happening?
Oh, that's a racial slur. Oh, that's a racial slur. That's a racial slur. That's a sexual and racial slur.
Did you hear that the use of the M-word went up by 500% on Twitter?
That's what I was segueing into, because I want to stop this fucking internal discussion that has no answers, making me want to pull my own fucking hair out my ass.
You wanted to start. Before the podcast, you're like, we should talk about this in the podcast. Oh, this will be fun.
If you ever just want to stop a conversation, Dad, you could just talk about gaming news, because I'm always ready to jump.
I'll tell you what though. If I said around 11 and one of you cunts turned up at like 15:15, I'd be fucking livid.
Yeah, you would.
I'd be like, if I would have started recording.
Look, I'm going to be there with it. Well, actually, one time you did. One time I was late, and you just fucking started without me.
Both of you were late, actually. I started without both of you.
Yeah.
Highest rated one, just saying.
Was it?
I don't know. I made that up. I just assumed you'd let it go.
Fun fact, by the way, I looked at the analytics for the podcasts.
Yeah.
The most popular episodes of this series have been ones which in the title John is being slagged off.
Oh, cool.
FYI.
But is it specifically in the sense of John? The implication is John has to try and explain a scientific principle.
Let's call this one John's Dick Pics. John's Secret Affair. Ooh, John's Secret Affair. Yeah, that's what the title of this episode is. John's Secret Affair. John admits to cheating.
What? But that's had nothing to do with anything.
I don't give a shit. People are going to listen to it. Let's clickbait this bitch.
I'm vetoing this.
John's divorce.
Well, John, actually, as you've illustrated many a time, you get quite annoyed at me putting the title of the episode in the video because then you can't change it.
You just put the title.
That's why we do that, John.
It's true.
I'm going to call it John Hates Black People. And no one can do anything.
No, because that's popular now. Thanks to Twitter. You won't. You just go anywhere to get that kind of content. How about John fucked a moose?
No, we don't do swearing like that on my channel, thank you. We're classy over in my
I really
neighborhood.
enjoy.
I like that the swearing was the issue there, not the implication of fucking animal.
I like reading the comments. I love reading the comments.
So, Glover's being re-released on modern platforms.
Oh my God.
Who remembers Glover?
You probably did when you were fucking that moose. It's a condom joke. Hey!
Every month.
I love how various people. I've seen generally, I don't actually care about the re-release of Glover. What I find really hilarious is whenever people have been talking about how Glover's being brought back and been remastered for modern systems, all the coverage is classic platformer. Glover's you have no idea what Glover is. Glover was an absolute mid-tier N64 platformer that didn't sell well at the time and no one gives a shit about. And the only reason you're calling it classic is because you, Mr. Journalist, are an embryo who wasn't around during the N64 era, so has no fucking clue that Glover was a mid-tier platformer that no one cares about.
Yeah,
anyway, on the subject of John hating black people,
Lord. I have seen some takes from journalists where I'm like, I hate that I know I'm older than you. There's been some shit where I'm like, oh yeah, you read something
I do not follow. Hang on.
Sometimes games journalists put shit and they're just wrong. Because they'll Google, the Persona 4 is coming out on shit. And they're like, oh, Persona 4, which originally came out on the PlayStation Vita. And I'm like,
it's a PS2 game!
It's a PS2 game, you spam!
You know what's annoying, right? I feel like I've finally reached that age now where there's a lot of people younger than me in those positions, finally.
Yeah. Well,
but there's also, there's also that whole thing. You know when you're a teenager? And everyone's you've got the whole world ahead of you.
I've forgotten.
No, but there's this whole thing of there's no huge expectations on you because you're a teenager.
There was loads on me. I was gifted.
But I think you've also got to remember, my teenage years might have been very different because that was pre-widespread internet adoption.
My point is, there's this attitude of sort of you have time to do stuff later in life because you're still in school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel that at all.
You see, I bet some people listening to what I just said was oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, fuck it. I grew up without fucking social media. I had no fucking social media as all that fucking bullshit when I was growing up. It just came in while I was a student.
Yeah,
it came in the last year of me. It came in the last 2 years of me being in school.
Because I thought it were bollocks. I didn't even have internet. When I was at university, I didn't have an internet connection because I was like, oh, what's the fucking point of this?
I mean, I grew up with an internet connection, but it's because my dad's a telecoms engineer, so it's a bit cheaty.
Of course you were. You fucking spam!
How is that being a spam? He used to climb up radio masts.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. Now the radio masts you just do cranes and shit, innit? You don't have to climb up them anymore.
Is that how the internet still works?
Oh, radio masts? Yeah, John, fuck it.
Oh my god, John, no.
No,
was the original internet on radio masts?
Well, I said telecoms. I didn't say internet.
Well, you just said you got the internet early because your dad worked at the thing and he went up radio. So I put the two things together and assumed, therefore, that what he did one day while he was up a tower, he just slightly turned the tower a few degrees so you got extra internet in your house through the radio masts.
Telecoms is a broad category that includes the internet and radio.
Yes, but I kind of assumed maybe the original internet was working on a shared signal.
They were on the
same bandwidth. Like if you tuned your radio to the same FM,
John, that's
you got
teletext.
the internet.
You're talking about teletext.
Wait, was teletext in radio waves?
Well, but it was FM. Not radio waves, but
it was sent through the static of the TV. I thought it was do you remember the Sega channel, John?
Yeah, you're saying that you can't send internet through radio signals, but actually antennas used to pick up CFAX and shit.
Through radio signals. So they don't.
How did that even work?
I have no idea how CFAX
How did CFAX work when it was getting through antenna? If the scenario was the antenna was receiving data, but it can't broadcast data back. So how did it? How did you change pages?
I'm going to say this, right? Listen, this is amazing. Do you remember the Sega channel? Was a service for the Sega Mega Drive. You plugged a console in, and it would download games through the TV onto the cartridge for you to play. And it was a subscription service.
I don't remember this because I had a Super NES in that generation.
Oh god, I never managed to get it. But the way it downloaded it was that it would decode the static that was sent. And it would take
this sounds like a Doctor Who plot. We found a secret signal embedded in the static.
It really was, though. It was literally you could download. It would save to the RAM.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that was the plot of the Stolen Earth in Doctor Who.
It was the plot of the Idiot's Lantern, wasn't it? Because that was just a TV that ate people.
That was TV just ate people's faces.
But no, you could download games through TV static, and it would download them into the RAM though. So when you reset it, it would get rid of it. You couldn't save anything, but it was the Sega, so you couldn't really save anything anyway. But that was magical, and because of it, Sega invested a lot of money in cables and shit and making like DSL lines and stuff better, and broadband kind of came about because of it. And Sega Channel is directly responsible for like fast broadband we have now, which is a really weird.
That's a bit of a contrive.
That's a bit of a stretch.
I don't know if you can say the phrase the Sega Channel is responsible for broadband.
This was the generation when multiple video games people were fucking around with trying to figure out how online worked. Like the N64 had the hilarious M64 Double D,
nice.
which originally was popular in Japan partly because you could do betting on horses through your N64. There was horse stuff on it, which is apparently very popular in Japan, and that was. Never made it out of Japan, the 64 DD.
I'm just going to quote from a book here.
Is it your book, Bunny Chance?
Yes. Sega...
Do you own any other books, Bunny Chance?
No, but I wrote about this, literally, in the fucking video games available now.
Mm-hmm.
Due to the way Sega Channel was broadcast, any sort of noise or interference would break up the download and cause errors. Sega combated this by working with cable companies directly to clean up and improve their cable signal quality, leading to huge improvements in cable infrastructure, and basically Sega Channel helped to usher in the era of cable internet that we all know and complain about today.
Dang, you can't cite yourself as a source to prove what you just said. But
you see, what I think actually happened there was Sega called up a cable company and said, "Hey, how are you getting on with that cleaning up the cable thing, the signal that we talked about?" And they just put the phone on hold for a second. It's like, what? It's fucking it's Saga again or whatever. What should we do? Just tell them you've done it. Yeah, we've done it. We've cleaned up the signal. Yeah, it's really clean now. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, that's got. Yeah, I don't know why Saga keep calling us. I don't fucking know.
That doesn't sound like a thing they would do.
Yeah,
I mean. Internet companies are.
I feel like cable companies didn't just for free make their quality much better because Sega asked them politely to. I feel like that wasn't a thing that happened. It may have been
a small contributing factor.
Yeah.
But, you know. It's a bit of a... Look, I trust in your words, Daniel, but equally, you like to over-exaggerate. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading it now.
You can't cite yourself.
I'm not. I'm reading another thing.
Oh, here we go. He's reading about it.
IGN writer Adam Redsell noted how the Sega Channel caused many cable companies to clean their broadcast signals and its role in the development of high-speed internet. Stating,
okay, by any chance was this article written after your book and you just read your book? And now you've just spread this lie.
The very fact you're enjoying broadband internet right now could
give us the dates of your book and this article.
This article was from 2013. I'm pretty sure this is the source I used for my book.
Oh my god. That's a keyword role. The role it played.
Yeah, I didn't say it was like entirely responsible, but
yes,
I'm saying that
it's responsible-ish.
It's in the DNA. It's like the great
it's around responsible.
Yeah, but in the same way, if you didn't have your great-great-grandfather, he wouldn't have you.
I feel like that's more of a direct correlation there.
You're a direct correlation to being a prick.
Wow, here we go. Bringing out the big guns.
I wanted a Sega Nomad.
Okay, can we just start making up facts and putting them out there and pretending they're real and then claiming we do them all along?
John.
All right, so fuck it. Here's a fact that I definitely didn't just make up. So as you know, they've just fucking recast the cast Geralt in the Witcher series, and also simultaneously they're remaking The Witcher 1. So world-breaking exclusive breaking news here. When they remake The Witcher 1, it's gonna look like Liam Hemsworth. That's who Geralt. He's going to look like Liam Hemsworth now.
That's a true.
That's the model they're using.
Fact.
They've actually got Liam Hemsworth in the. They've got him in like the mocap studio right now. They've like covered his face in ping pong balls, like really tiny ones, like thousands of them, to make sure it really looks like Liam Hemsworth.
Imagine
that's
running a TV show and accidentally hiring the wrong Hemsworth.
Yeah,
that's got to suck, doesn't it?
I mean, it could be worse. It could have hired. I think the bottom tier one is Luke Hemsworth.
There's another one.
Yeah,
there's another one.
There's a weird
I think he was in Neighbours, and that was it.
Oh, like Kylie.
There's S tier Hemsworth, which is that's Chris. Then Liam's the mid tier one, and Luke's the bottom tier one.
I'm reading some shit about Sega Channel now. Feel
Oh,
free
I
to-
googled Hemsworth
You're
and
very
it came up with
determined.
a picture.
Daniel is very determined to be right about this.
I fact checked. My book was fucking difficult to
I
write. those
believe
bits.
you that it played a role, but I think you're overstressing the importance of that role.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm saying it helped massively. I'm not gonna overstress. I'm overstressing to the point of it really fucking helped clean up the fucking bullshit.
Oh no! I mean, wait, hang on. You just said, wait, who did you say? John, Luke, referring to Luke.
I think Luke's the lesser known Hemsworth.
He's in
I think there's three
Westworld
of them.
apparently.
He was in Westworld.
Yeah,
Well, no
the
wonder it
TV
got
show.
cancelled.
He's a bit of a robotic actor then. Is that the one with robots? I tried. I've never seen
Yeah,
it.
it's the one with robots.
Nailed it.
He
It
played.
might be really unfair to Luke Hemsworth. Is he actually doing
He
just fine?
apparently, we haven't seen it yet, but in Thor: Love and Thunder, he plays a Thor actor, like another person. You know how they had a person playing Thor in like another Thor film?
I think that was Liam Hemsworth. I think they've had both the Hemsworth brothers
Yeah.
play in the Thor films.
Yeah, that's cute.
I thought it was Matt Damon. Oh, was
Oh,
that
no,
Does
he
Loki?
look actually, this
Oh, he
guy
was in
looks,
Ragnarok
Luke
as
Hemsworth
well.
looks quite a lot like Matt Damon, to be honest.
They had Matt Damon as well. Or did Matt Damon play Loki?
Matt Damon played Loki, I'm
I
pretty
really
sure now.
feel like, yeah, definitely Luke Hemsworth should be the stunt double for Matt Damon if he's like struggling for work.
The Sega Channel service was
Matt Damon's
provided to
hands.
the public by Time Warner Cable and TCI, which was later acquired by AT&T during its cable acquisition spree that formed AT&T Broadband. Just saying,
just
look at all that
ask a
history, look
question.
at all the ways it's connected.
Can I ask a question? So
Yeah.
we're referring just to the States here, right?
No, this was in this country as well.
You just said AT&T.
Yeah, in America. I'm just saying America. I'm just saying it had a load of fucking fingers and a load
Yeah,
of
but
fucking
AT&T
pies.
is notoriously terrible to this day.
Yes.
So maybe using that as the example of, wow, they helped. It's not the
Yeah.
best one you could have
So
picked.
what I'm saying is that the Sega Channel was massively influential in keeping it shit.
Great. Wonderful. What a conclusion. We all learned something today, everyone.
Curse you, Sega, for ruining our signal quality.
I could be playing Marvel Snap right now and I'm suddenly talking to you cunts. You should be happy I'm here.
Oh my god, you arranged.
I know literally one thing about Marvel Snap, which is that the game where you have to kill Uncle Ben to get Spider-Man?
No, I haven't found an Uncle Ben card.
really
Maybe
good.
there is. It's a really good game. It's like
It's really
legitimately.
good.
I hate how good the monetization is for free
I
to play
completed the
games.
season pass as well.
The main one or the little one?
The main one.
Oh, well done. I'm on 70 of the season pass.
I'm currently on. Where am I? I'm at 57. My
I can't get into
My
card
collection
games.
level
I
is
can't get into collecting
368.
card games.
It's not a collecty card game though. It's done very cleverly. So all the usual bullshit of upgrading and all that stuff is only ever visual. So if you upgrade a card once, the character bursts out from the frame. Like the art just gets a bit bigger. Second time, it gets like a really cool 3D effect. Third time, the logo goes shiny. The next time,
third time's the animated.
oh, animated. Sorry. Then it's the shiny logo. Then it's the shiny frame, and then you could get a different version of it with a holographic back. And all the upgrades are just purely visual. And there's a collector's. As you progress through the game, you got this like sort of one single timeline where they'll be adding new cards to sort of the end of it or whatever. And the cards are divided into different pools. So currently there's 3 pools of card. If you're in pool 1, you will only be battling people who have the cards in pool 1. So if you
It's worth
shit
noting
money
as
into
well.
it to upgrade cards to go up through there, you're only going to end up battling people who have the same cards as you. So there's no
It's-
pay to win. It's fucking
You
beautifully
can't
designed.
You can't buy cards you don't have. Like you can buy variations which just look different, but that's
You can buy
all
variations
buy.
of cards you do have, not ones you don't have.
Yeah.
So what, is there just a lot of grinding for cards?
No,
then?
God, not at all. You don't grind for cards. As I say, the level is your collector's level, and that's just based on the cards you own and if you've upgraded them.
I
But
want
the
you to
current-
know, I'm grimacing at the microphone right now because I do not believe for one fucking second that a Marvel Disney thing is going to be as wholesome and consumer friendly
I know,
as you're
I
saying, without
was
some way
very
for them to
pleasantly
fucking
surprised.
drain the blood out of
It's
you.
why I
Well-
was so surprised.
I'm going to say this. It's designed by the guy the team who did Hearthstone. It's basically if you want to throw money at this game, I mean, there's the season pass and all that sort of stuff.
But you know, actually, something I find interesting about it is the microtransaction currency is gold, right?
Gold.
And with gold, you can buy the card variations, which I haven't bought any of them.
Don't do
But
that.
or you can exchange the gold for credits, and the credits are one of the currencies you use to upgrade your cards.
Yeah.
But there's a limit on how many credits you can buy per day. Just
Yeah.
total. Like they've got the best value 90 quid fucking 8,000 gold that you can buy.
Okay, my bullshit alarm is going off hard inside
John,
my own head right now. Multiple
mine did as
currencies,
well.
best value gems.
No, but this is what I find. But this is the weird thing, John. That gold, if you buy that gold...
Have you been replaced by a robot? What? This doesn't sound like a thing you should be defending.
This is my thing. This is what's confusing about that, though. Because those 8,000 gold, you can't spend all of them. If you buy that, you can buy 500 credits for 400 gold, but you can only do that twice a day. So you can only spend like 1,000 gold in a day anyway.
And also, I mean, the price is ludicrous. Like 700 gold is $8.99.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And a variant, if you want to buy one, is 700 gold. Some are 1,200.
Also, the variants are ugly, mostly.
Yeah. Do you want to spend £9 on one of the literal thousands of variants, which is the exact same card, you could just get a different look to it? Or do you
some poor fucker who's got addiction problems is going to.
Hello, I have addiction problems. I don't want them all. It's not a game to collect them all from. It's a game where... And the thing is, if you collect them all, you're going to zhuzh up all of through all this, like, the main leveling system. So I'm level 382 at the moment. And I'm in pool 2.
Ooh, just behind you. Ooh.
Oh, you little shit.
368.
Okay, but what's your current season ranking?
Oh, Jesus
56.
fucking Christ.
Oh, I'm only 52. I've got a new deck and I've been fucking around with it and I lost a lot.
for
I'm
fuck's
gutted.
sake.
Oh, wait, hang on, wait. Oh, that's the thingy. What was it again, sorry?
What was what?
What was your season rank?
My season pass is 69.
No, but what was your other ranking?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely
52.
sorry about this. I don't know what the fuck's happened.
Oh, okay.
Disney has infested this
John?
podcast. I'm so sorry.
No, but right, here's the thing. Yeah, when you got this collection level, so when you visually upgrade your cards, you then progress through the game. So if you pay loads of money to visually upgrade your cards, you will progress through the game faster.
No, but there's a point here as well, though, because there's two things you need to upgrade the cards. You need the credits, but you also need the,
I'm being recruited to a fucking pyramid scheme here. What the fuck is
listen,
happening?
John, it doesn't matter about your thing, Matt. I know that thing kind of does matter, but you could sort of bypass it because you just play the cards and you get the points for the cards you're playing.
Help!
But if you pay loads of money
Call the police.
to unlock all the cards...
Dan and Matt need help. We need to get them out of here.
John.
Please, we need to stage a fucking
Shut up,
intervention.
you fucking twat. This is the important bit. If you pay money to get all of the cards, you're then going to battle with people who have all of the cards. You basically can only battle people who are at your collection level. So I'm in pool 2. I can only battle people who are halfway through pool 2.
You are aware this is just how most online multiplayer games have been since online started, where you both buy the game for a certain amount of money and thus you're on an even playing field.
No,
right? Going
what
back to
happens
fucking...
in mobile phone games is you pay loads of money into it to upgrade your cards. Even shit like the fucking... Because I play loads of these games because I love making notes on how they're shit.
Well, yes, if you compare this game to a shit mobile game, it's going to look good. But if you compare it to...
This is a mobile game. That's the thing. That's where I'm like, no, I want more of this.
Genuinely,
I want
John,
this shit mobile game to be the standard.
Good.
Why are you being so impressed by the fact that you've both paid the same money and thus are on a level playing field in multiplayer when this is just the absolute bare minimum you should expect?
What do you mean we haven't paid? It's not about money. We haven't paid any money.
Well, I bought the season pass.
We both bought the season pass, but that was just... Yeah, that was just because we liked the game.
How it
yes, you were saying about the pool. So if you've both paid the same money, you are equal.
No,
you are fairly matched, which is just how it should fucking
be.
Yeah.
But my point is, though, John, the reason I like the game so much, and I think it's very clever, is unlike a lot of card games where you have like a deck of 50 cards or 60 cards or something, the deck in this game is what, like 18?
12. It's 12.
12.
12 cards.
Your deck is just 12 cards.
Just 12 cards, yeah.
All the cards do quite a lot. So it's a really simple game.
Such a tightly designed game. It is fucking ridiculous.
It's really simple, but all the cards do is probably... It's really clever, John. Genuinely. Because Daniel was playing it and going, I'm playing Marvel Snap, and I went, ugh. Because I did the same thing as you. Because it's, frankly, the UI is ugly, and it has the fucking standard mobile game shop fucking store, and I went, ugh. And Daniel was playing it, and I'm watching, I'm going, actually, that seems quite interesting. And I got it, and it's actually a very good game with an incredibly, incredibly fair... and frankly, surprisingly understated Michael Jackson system.
Yeah, I mean, for
I've
now,
not touched. Well, yeah, for now.
Let's just say for now.
You know what? You're right. While you were speaking, I just downloaded the game. And actually, Kevin Feige is a very sexy human being. I would really let him do things to me.
John,
whatever he wanted.
Also,
I've decided to extend my subscription to Disney Plus and go for the new premium tier subscription. Only $59.99 per year. Sign up now.
John, one of the things we started this podcast is Dan just had his other podcast cancelled because he won't stop slagging off Disney. I mean,
John, I apologise for liking something.
Yeah, you're damn right you should.
Sorry,
How dare you fucking like something popular, you whore.
Sorry, I like something. Call of Duty Mobile.
I'm sorry if I was briefly a grumpy old man who just disliked something because it was a popular thing tied to a major corporation. That was wrong of me.
I like to change my mind about things.
Have we both learnt an important moral lesson?
No. I've learned you're a prick. I didn't need learning that.
No, we already knew that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, fair enough. I'm not, I'm much happier. I just discovered Vampire Survivors.
Oh, it's a fucking banging game.
Where I paid £3 and never have to pay anything again. I've got the full game.
Yeah, but it's not a live service game that's constantly, adding stuff with...
It is constantly adding stuff. It literally just added a whole bunch of stuff.
I know, but not in a way that a live service game does, that it's supposed to be a continuous... Like, the promise of that, you can pay into it and it carries on. Like a Fortnite or something, where people are paying loads of money towards it, but it is basically a subscription to lots of things. Oh my goodness, I've just been bought a chicken burger. And a pork pie! You fucking sexy bitch.
Are they braless? That's the
important
question.
Are you braless?
I've got Baron.
Baron! Oh!
Every time, Rebecca, we've spoken about this. You need to do the ninja thing. Braless, not asked for sandwich. Fucking, that's what ninja says is the key to life.
Lower herself from the ceiling and insert the pork pie into his mouth before he realises what's happening.
I've done that. It's great. Oh, yeah.
It sounds a bit... Oh, Vampire! Oh, it's that game, Vampire Survivors. That one that was a weird thumbnail.
I've watched the trailer for it. I thought, that looks like shit bullet hell. It looks absolutely not my thing. It's like £3. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It's great fun.
Honestly, it's in sort of like the top even for a drink. Okay, thank you. It's in contention for Game of the Year for me.
I think it's when it all clicks. The first time it clicks, and you have a ridiculous murder machine who can't possibly die. In a screen full of enemies, it's marvellous.
Okay, and then you do get killed.
Lately, there's been a lot of, especially you, Dad, you're saying, Game of the Year contender, which I'm assuming your Game of the Year is Elden Ring, regardless.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yes, obviously.
Best game of forever.
But then you've got Solar Divinity, what was it?
Sins of the Solar Empire 2.
Yeah.
Wait, that came out this year?
Came out the other day?
No, that's not what the title of the video is. Matt, have you been paying attention?
I did upload it. Hang on.
What's the video called?
It's called...
Here we go.
Game of the Year 2023
because it's only out in early access right now.
It's a good one.
Got you, baby.
My Game of the Year so far is Persona 5 on Switch.
Oh, wow. Have you not played Elden Ring? I know
I didn't like it.
I know we've been through this. No, I'm playing through Persona 4 at the moment. Persona 4 is a great little game. It's one of Rebecca's favourites, and it's always when we play it. And on the Steam Deck, the Steam Deck is basically the Vita 2, and I love it. I adore that.
No, sorry, it's the Vita fucking squared. If you're talking about pure mass.
If we're talking about pure mass, it's the Vita fucking cubed. It's the.
What's the cube saying? The Vita?
Well, I was going for more of a 3D volume than a 2D volume there, Matt, because it's not. Yeah. It's not just like taller and wider and the same thickness. It's a chunky beast. It's a big boy. I've had to go to the gym just so I can lift the fucking thing.
Well, I will say, right, I do like holding yours.
Thank you.
It's a bit big, but I like holding it.
That before.
It's a bit big. I like holding it. It feels good in the hand. It's nice to touch.
Yep.
But as we illustrated, it won't fit inside my bag. It's too big. I needed something small that'll slot right in there.
I've had that problem before, yeah.
Dear. Oh, yeah.
And as much as it has good hand feel,
It
does get hot though. It does get hot.
Yeah, it does. And it gets a bit loud sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've struggled with Persona in the past. Oh dear. I've tried to get into Persona. I can't get into it.
I struggle with 4. It took me 3 or 4 goes to get into Persona 4.
Which one's the one that had the re-release with Royale? Was that Persona 5 Royale?
Yeah.
I sat down to play it. I'm going to play this. I'm going to record a video. 2 hours later, nothing's fucking happened.
Genuinely, John.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it look like you feel like at the start of Persona 5 Royale, you feel like there's about to be a game because like you're running through a casino. There's some turn-based combat. Oh, this is a game. Then like it's such a fucking weird opening because there's like 10 minutes of like combat and gameplay. Then there's an hour and 40 minutes of nothing.
John,
Yeah.
I've played it for 10 hours,
walk around a shop. Cutscene, walk around a shop. Then there's a cartoon for no well-explained reason. Back to more cutscenes. Walk around a shop some more. Fuck it, where's the game? You
John,
promised me a turn-based game in a
10
casino
hours.
with colourful
I
superpowers.
played 10 hours and I just finished the tutorial.
You fucked
Yeah.
that shit.
I mean,
Alright, I don't
Persona
care how
4
good. I don't care how good the game gets after that 10 hours. That's still a bad game because it shouldn't have had made you wait 10 fucking hours.
I will
I think
say,
it's good, pacing.
John, no, that is the game. The game is that many cutscenes and that many things. That is
And me
the
going
game.
to school.
Well,
and then being
I'm
like,
glad I
shit,
now
what is
know
this
that's just
triangle?
not a franchise for me.
Yeah.
John, I had
I
to
mean,
do an exam in school. It was great.
I got genuinely worried about my midterms in Persona 4 to the point where I struggled to sleep because I was like, oh, tomorrow I've got to do those midterms and I can't remember shit.
Yeah. Like I debated between like finishing my rented DVD of the X-Files or like revising. I revised.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Then I had to go and do laundry.
So cute. I will say though, Persona 4, my big problem with Persona 4 is that I hit a point in the story where the story just kind of stopped. It's like, because you're trying to find a murderer and it's clearly not the guy that you've pointed the finger at because he's only appeared for like this one mission. And the team's like, well, that's that. And the game just kind of like carries on. You're like, I know something else is going to happen. Could it happen soon? And it's like that Rick and Morty skit with the guy like selling the fake doors and then he goes like drives home for a while. You're like, is this still going on?
Persona 5 does that as well. Because you saw...
Spoilers.
There's the palace. There's the whole thing is you're infiltrating the palace and doing a steely thing. And you kind of finish doing that and you get over this big initial like story hurdle. And then your character's like, well, we've sorted that out. Now what? And then you just spend like 2 weeks going, now what? And you're just like, your quest is just be a
You've got your
schoolboy. And I'm
exams,
like,
clearly. You've got to revise for your fucking exams.
well, genuinely, that's around then. So it's just like, live a normal life. And I'm like, okay.
I love that.
This sounds like such a weird thing. Like, you know, say if Zelda game ended with after the big climactic showdown with Ganon, instead you now go back to the starting village and spend the next 5 hours just herding
but it wasn't
goats.
the climatic thing.
Sorry, that is literally the ending of Red Dead Redemption.
Yes, it is.
Literally
But
the ending of
also,
Red Dead
John,
Redemption.
The whole...
No, it's not. The ending of Red Dead Redemption
Two.
is hunting down a man and murder.
Red
No.
Dead Redemption 2. So
Red Dead Redemption, the original.
Yes.
both of them do that.
Yeah, you
Ends
do your
with
thing.
hunting down a man and murder.
No, it doesn't. You retire to your farm and then you do herding for a while and then you get shot.
No, there's an epilogue where
There's an
you
epilogue,
go
but
and get
that's-
revenge for that.
That's the epilogue,
Did you
not the
never
end.
complete the original Red Dead Redemption? Did you just think it ended there and stop playing?
That's where it ends.
No, it doesn't.
That's where John Marston's story ends.
Yeah.
There's an epilogue.
Yeah, but it's not John... Like, the epilogue is not John Marston's story.
How are vegan
but
pork pies so good? When did that happen?
Did Rebecca think the original ending of Red Dead was going to be too upsetting for you, so she just came and turned off the console, and thus you never got to see the ending?
I mean-
is this like a Phoebe in Friends? You never got to see the actual ending.
You are a weenie little baby, Daniel.
I'm a wee little baby.
I suggest you reload up the original Red Dead Redemption because John Marston's son has an epilogue
Well, we all
where
know
he
that,
goes
John,
and does
but
more
it's an
shit.
epilogue with a different character. It's not the fucking main thrust of the story.
Yes, it is.
No.
It's literally the end
No.
of the story.
I broke that cycle of violence.
You're also, it's when you say it's an epilogue, it's kind of a hidden side mission epilogue.
Yeah, it's
not
just
really.
it's just a duel. I am aware of what goes on.
Also, just literally, right, all of these things, because Persona 5, it's half of it's just being a school simulator. That's kind of the point. The monotony is part of the charm. You go to school every day, you finish school, it's like, now you can hang out with your friends. And I'm like, oh, actually, I'm going to go buy some stuff from the secondhand shop. And you go looking for shops. I'm like, actually, I got a part-time job at a 7-Eleven. And
Fuck.
I'm having a nice time working there. But I try and work there on any date that ends with a 7 because they give a bonus to employees.
As all businesses do function, of course.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
I've been trying. There's a burger joint that has this like eat a massive burger challenge, and I've been trying to do it, but I just can't. So I keep doing it. But when I finally do it, I'm gonna get like a big burger voucher for burgers. It's gonna be great. But this is the thing, John. One of the things with a game like that, because I tried to get into it before. I got it on the PS4, and I could not get into it. Because I agree with you, it's slow. But the entire reason I bought it on the Switch, and I'm assuming Daniel's now getting to Persona 4 more on the Steam Deck, is just that pick up and play and put down. Like, I can pick up Persona 5, play it for 5 minutes, and just like, I'm playing some batting. I'm reading a book, and then I just put it down. It makes it so much more accessible. It's why I got into The Witcher 3 finally as well. It's why I know we had this discussion about how The Witcher 3 is this big game, you want the visuals. And I mean, me and Tiny were talking to Rebecca about this last week because Rebecca doesn't know where to buy Persona 5, whether to get it on the PS5 for the nice big screen experience or the Switch, which is more portable, but you don't get the scale. And I think a game like that just works so well portably. Mm-hmm. And it's why I've fallen in love with the Switch, and I would have fallen in love with the Steam Deck if it wasn't the size of a house.
I love the Steam Deck, though.
I just can't put it in my bag.
So much more comfortable to hold.
I find this normal Switch comfortable, which I know I'm weird in that, but I find it perfectly comfortable. I can hold that for 10 hours.
Yeah, but you have Lego hands. You just have those little yellow claws.
It just rests on my hand. I don't know. I'm not gripping it tightly in a vice grip. It's resting. I find it comfortable.
It digs into my fucking palm.
I would genuinely, right, a Steam Deck with a Switch OLED screen would be the perfect, but it's just too big.
It's not. It's beautiful. It's console of the year. Console of the forever.
When I keep saying it's too big, I mean it is physically. I cannot fit it into my bag.
You need a bigger bag.
It's a big. I bought this big bag to fit the big editing laptop. Like, it's huge. Like, I could put it in the main compartment, but then it's filling most of the main fucking compartment. My bag has a little slot, which is the perfect size for a Switch, which is where my Switch lives.
It just sounds like you've got the wrong bag.
I like my bag. I like the Switch. I'm a fan of the Switch. I like being able to take the controllers off and put it down and like just cross my arms, but still play the game with my arms crossed. And then I feel like a bit of a tit, but I'm having a nice time. Also, the OLED screen is like, it's, for Persona 5 especially, that OLED looks amazing.
Can I just say something? I think John died of old age midway through that discussion.
I struggle with a game where you get to the big conclusion and then you're expected to just keep going with much lower stakes stuff. I need my game to come to its big dramatic, and I don't necessarily mean like big explosion conclusion. Like,
it's a mini boss.
Big emotional stakes conclusion is fine too. But after that, I can't go back to just pissing about for a bit. I need my games to have its moment where I think, yep, that's it. Wrapped up, bow on the top. Boom. I feel like I have now done this experience, on to the next, please.
I agree with you, but those moments of sort of respite, I think, are really important in a game. Like, I always use.
But I need them in the middle of the game. I need that downtime in the middle of the game, not after the end.
Okay, like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, 1 especially, right?
I remember them.
I used to like the outside of Animus bits, because I always found them to be this like, all right, I'm getting out, and that felt like a really good point where I go, right, I'm turning off the game for the time.
I hate that shit. I just want to have a little place to live. That's what games, right? That's all you need in a game, right? I think that if you're doing sort of an open worldy game, having a place that is the player's own home, like a little housey spot, it just lets you character like rest up and lets you go there and you get your healing done. You do sleep. Like, that's why Cyberpunk's such a wonderful fucking city.
You see, I like the Oblivion system where you don't start one of those, but you actually have to buy a house, and there's loads of them, but they cost a fucking fortune.
Yeah, you have to.
So you actually have to properly save up, and like even when you move in, you've got to spend a lot more money furnishing them, and like all the different towns have very different architectural layouts.
Yeah.
It's like some houses you might actually not like, but you're not allowed to see the inside of the house before you buy it because the property market in Cyrodiil's fucking weird. So you kind of you're buying house kind of potluck. What I want to do is I break into other people's houses, look around the layouts, and try and come out. Okay, what's roughly the architectural standard in this town to estimate what the inside of the house I might want to buy is, and use that to make some assumptions as to what I do or don't want to buy.
Could you imagine, right, like you're buying a house in like Chorley and you're like, okay, what I need to do is break into all the neighbours' houses before you move in. Just to double check.
Yeah, because the house you buy, you're not like, it's got a special door that you can't lockpick, because otherwise you could just break its house without buying it, and you could just basically live there anyway. So instead you just have to break into everyone else's houses and try and calculate roughly what you think the inside of the house is going to be. You're buying it blind, which is kind of a fun system, actually. We should try that in the real world.
But you keep talking about Oblivion, and every time I'm more and more excited to actually finally sit down and play it.
It's actually really good.
And that view, when you first come out of that sewer
Fuck off. What I found amazing though is it's the same size as Skyrim. The world is the map size is pretty much identical to Skyrim's. And if I would never have guessed that. Like, if you asked me to estimate, having, wandered all over the world space of Oblivion and played Skyrim many times, I said, oh yeah, it's probably like, Fallout, it's probably like the Fallout games in terms of scaling up. Like, Skyrim's like 4 times bigger, right? No, it just feels bigger because Bethesda got way cleverer at using topography, like, valleys and mountains and rivers and curvy roads that go up the side of mountains
the San Andreas
to make
method.
it feel.
I was going to say, it's why San Andreas felt massive until they...
It feel like Skyrim feels absolutely huge. Like when you have to go on a journey from one town to another, it feels like you're going on a really fucking epic journey. But actually, a large part of it is just very cleverly making you curve back around on yourself and climb vertical heights using only one single cliff path that's really well decorated and stuff. And it feels like you're going on an epic journey, but actually, as the crow flies, you're barely going around the corner. Yep. But they also use they put a lot of mountains in the way. And once I did this, I went back into Skyrim and looked around and realized actually, part of the reason Skyrim is so fucking mountainous is because it really hides the fact that actually you could very easily see the next town over really easily. So they put mountains in the way so you can't.
Yeah,
that's the problem with a lot of big maps
and it really makes me appreciate some of the really clever world design that goes into Skyrim that makes it feel huge. Oblivion's great, but its world is very flat. And clearly Bethesda was still, getting on with the craft at that point, still learning it. So you've got this scenario where the world is pretty flat, really, and, there's a slightly drier flat bit that's supposed to be semi-desert and slightly more misty flat bit that's supposed to be a bit more swampy and grey flat bit that's supposed to be getting towards hills and mountains. But broadly, it's all very flat. And, mountains don't feel like mountains, they feel just like a steep slope. There are some slopes around.
You know how Bethesda's games progressively have just been getting taller and taller to the point that I just think the neck, just to the point that now they're like, fuck it, we've got to go into space, we can't go taller. We do.
Which I'm fine with. I think Boss in Fallout 4 is genius.
What's Bethesda's next game?
Starfield?
They're going to space.
Yeah?
Yeah, Starfield.
They're going to space.
That's what we just said.
Is it? No, but what I'm saying is, are they going to have, it's a area the size of like a Fallout, but you can just go really high up and it's just all the planets in that area? What if it is just the same dimensions, but you just go up? They've just made it go up so high.
They've cleverly faded out all the textures and everything. They're using a lot of clever litlittle tricks to make it work in that fucking
and it's like
engine.
It's the day before a planetary alignment, so you can get on the edges of loads of little planets that are just in this path, but it's still only the same size as Fallout.
Oh my god.
Well, I think we do know that I think they've said that there's not going to be continuity between space and the ground. So you can't just land wherever you want on a planet. It's going to be like the Outer Worlds, where you land in a particular area. That's the Outer Worlds, not the Outer Wilds.
No, you're allowed to land anyway. You can't transfer from.
But you're only allowed to land within a particular fixed area, not anywhere on a fully rendered sphere.
I thought you can go around the entire planet, though.
Yeah, I think you could go around the whole planet.
I thought you could go around the whole planet, but you can't actually go through the atmosphere.
You
go through the atmosphere. Yeah.
Starfield planet. Because I thought it was a case of you're in space, you go through the atmosphere, an animation would play, and then you're flying in atmosphere, and you can go anywhere. I thought that was how it was working.
But I think you go anywhere within an area that wouldn't make sense for the amount of space you would expect on a planet. It's going to be it's not going to be No Man's Sky.
I mean,
I opened an IGN article the first day. It said people might be comparing this to No Man's Sky, but it's not.
Yep.
Blah blah blah. Every single blah 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 blah. You can't fly the ship straight down. The surface is one reality, and space is a different reality. However, wait. Oh my god! Doesn't say anything else.
Basically, they didn't know, but they realised there was lots of search traffic, so they just put together an article anyway.
I like this one. There's this article here from December 2021, which is that's pre-release. Well, pre-proper big trailer. But I like this. The headline is every Starfield planet is apparently bigger than Skyrim. I fucking hope so. Could you imagine if every planet was the size of a small postage stamp? Fucking
Man, you must have been disappointed with the Outer Worlds where you go to that meteorite and it's fucking 10 meters by 10 meters.
I was disappointed by the entirety of the Outer World, which I was really annoyed about.
That one grey meteorite planet where like the monkeys have escaped and there's one town. It's the fucking tiniest thing. Was so underwhelming.
I never got beyond the second area where you go to that like space station.
Station.
So bored.
Monarch is okay.
DLC,
the big planet Monarch is the only one that felt big enough to actually be a proper planet. All the others felt too small.
Yeah, it felt theme parky.
You know what I liked? Getting to the really big city and being like, oh shit, it's a big city, and it's a single city block where 90% of the buildings are closed, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
also struggle with the fact that all the cities were properly closed. They lived in their own separate reality behind locked doors and couldn't interact with the outside world. Which I know happens sometimes in, various Bethesda games too, but like New Vegas, plenty of the cities, maybe about, I don't know, half and half, the cities are actually open to the outside world versus not. Like Good Springs is open to the outside world, Novak is open to the outside world. It's not locked behind gates you have to go through.
Well, yeah, it's only the big ones like New Vegas and Freeside, really.
Yeah. Which, well, I think even smaller ones like West Side have actually got. West Side is a weird thing in New Vegas because, like, blatantly they clearly plan for it to do more than it does. Whereas in the actual game, you barely need to go there for any reason.
Though, in a game like that, obviously, thematically, there being a wall and a door doesn't feel off. Like to have to go through a load zone. I mean, I'd rather it not be there. But
clearly for them, it was a technical limitation because you can't have future worlds on the other world. So I appreciated the fact that compared to Fallout 3, more settlements in New Vegas were part of the overworld. Oh, yeah.
The only thing I would change.
Walk into them. It's nice that you can just walk into a town and you don't have to go through a mysterious gate and the town lives in a parallel dimension. That's really nice.
I always install those mods that combine Freeside and New Vegas into two just full areas rather than separating those doors, which was an Xbox 360 limitation, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And that's all I do. But them being separate is fine. Like, I was kind of fine having to go into the wall to get into some of the towns in Outer Worlds. It was like, now we're going to go to the universe. It's like, it's one space station in a small town. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think the big mistake of the Outer Worlds was selling it as this big, epic sci-fi exploration adventure when the gameplay wasn't that.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't... Like, I think you go into a sci-fi game where, the opening screen is literally a space station. The music is this grand epic... Ba-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, okay, I know what we're in for now. We're going for this grand epic explorer, aren't we? It's like, no. You're going to explore the park. An area slightly smaller than fucking Finsbury Park with some shacks in the middle of it, and that's a planet. That's the fucking planet, mate.
And it was... they weren't even that densely packed. Those areas.
No, they were not. They were not that densely packed at all. Like it felt it was small, and even for the size of it, it was not dense.
Well, you went from that initial area, that very first town. What's it called? Oh, fuck. The very first town.
Not Monarch. The one that's not Monarch.
Whatever. That one where you do this sort of tutorial thing, and you go outside the town. You have to walk to this little village up the road, and that entire walk is just like empty.
Yeah, there's some mysterious humans who, just decide they're going to be raiders and attack you on sight because they're dicks. Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the next one because I feel like maybe now they've got the engine.
Hopefully they'll step it up a bit.
Oh god!
Like I think the Outer Worlds was fun to play once, but I've never even remotely considered going back to play it the second time.
I played it again. And the second time I played it was because there's a speedrun strat you can use where you can finish the game in 10 minutes, which I did.
Did you play the DLC? Because the sci-fi, almost vaguely old world bluesy DLC where you go to the science meteorite was okay.
I did, because I kind of forgot it came out, realised I owned it, went final, give it a go, played the whole thing, was kind of waiting for some... Like, I was playing it and waiting for it to grab me, and then it ended, and I went, oh... Because it's just like rocks, and I'm like, rocks.
I mean, it didn't help that literally during the opening of that section, you sit down and like, yes, I need you to go down. My mother's asteroid, my poor dead mother who died under mysterious circumstances where we never found the body. Yes, her asteroid. You'd better go down there. Oh no, there's a mysterious person causing trouble on my poor dead mother's asteroid. My absent dead mother who's definitely dead. Who is this mysterious person who's causing trouble? Okay, her fine. And I was thinking, okay, it can't possibly be that obvious. There's going to be a twist because everyone's expecting it to be the dead mother, so it can't possibly. Oh, it's okay, fine.
Yeah, it's a bit very surface level. Also, I mean that when you go into that initial mansion on that DLC.
Yeah.
For those who haven't played it, you go to like a mansion thing, and the whole dead mother asteroid thing, and then you get sent down to this mining asteroid, and you explore the mining asteroid. The mining asteroid
and there's some fun, and it is at least less just a circle of land where you could just walk.
Yeah.
Like the canyons and whatnot make it a bit more interesting to explore.
But it's still just a desolate rock. I mean, it's literally a mining asteroid. It is a desolate rock by its very nature. And when I entered that initial mansion, I was like, ooh, I hear it's like a bit of a mystery thing, right? And it was sold as a bit of a mystery. I'm like, ooh, am I going to do a murder mystery in a mansion?
Yeah.
Because I would have happily spent the entire of that DLC in the mansion just talking to people. But there's one guy in the mansion, and you leave, and you're like, oh. Like, I want that Hitman 3 level
you need to sit down and play Oblivion, because Oblivion, you do shit like you get to town
love Oblivion.
and you get told shit like, hey, there's that murder mystery, solve it.
I love Oblivion. It's one of those games that I think is okay. You know when you tell people to go back and play an older game, and it's just Oblivion is that point for me where it's so clunky. Age-wise.
Disagree. I think Morrowind, you're bordering on it, and you need to mod it a little bit for a better quality of life. I think Oblivion has aged like fine wine.
But I think New Vegas sits in that category now, even.
Lol.
Say that again.
Well, no, because
I think New Vegas has aged like a fine milk. I had to install 400 mods to make it work, and it still ran like an absolute dog shit. It's awful.
Probably because you installed 400 mods without really knowing much about the game.
He installed 10 mods.
Matt did it for me.
Made him install 10 mods that there's like some texture mods and some, the stability mods and the patch mods and stuff like that.
It was awful. I hated everything about it. Oblivion's great, though. Oblivion has held up.
But it's still it's still got that kind of clunkiness, and you really need to mod the UI a bit to make it work properly, and you still need to get the patch mods and stuff like. Well, actually, Fallout 4 announced they're doing a next gen version, aren't they? Where they're actually going to fix bugs.
I know it's dumb, but I'm kind of excited for that because I would have been incredibly cynical and uninterested, but they did that for Skyrim recently, and some of the stuff they added in was actually kind of fun and chunky.
They could add fishing to Fallout 4.
The fucking fishing that I played for like 8 hours and I still wasn't done. And it wasn't just like, hey, just walk up to water and you can fish. I was like, no, fuck it. You've got to know the right sort of bait and the right sort of water and calculate what counts as water that's flowing fast.
Right.
What's the temperature of the water, fucker? You can't catch a sunfish when it's raining, you stupid piece of shit.
Yeah, no other game has done fishing.
I mean, that sounds boring as shit to me. That's my Persona 5 for you.
This was bafflingly detailed fishing. This was bafflingly detailed fishing. And it fit into, the alchemy system a little bit. So it kind of integrated into the systems.
I'm a little confused about what's in this upgrade, because they've just said graphical improvements, but they've also said the update's coming to PC. And I'm like, well, is it something like, in Skyrim Remastered, they were like, oh, we've added fancier lighting or something.
It's probably just going to be a HD texture pack of something. It's probably going to upgrade. In fact, PC already has a high resolution texture pack. It's free DLC for Fallout 4.
I want them to fucking patch the game so it doesn't crash if you turn on the physics fucking bullshit.
Probably, yes. Hopefully they'll do something like that. But I suspect...
But it's Bethesda. They won't. They'll add
they don't need to.
all
Mods
the textures in the world, but they will... That, even with a mod, it just makes it not crash. It doesn't make physics work. It just makes it not crash. It's a piece of shit. And the amount of honest to fuck Skyrim, right? So Daniel knows this because he played Skyrim on the Switch. And the game bugged and he couldn't continue.
Yeah, if I go... I'm on like one of the Civil War quests, but if I go to a massive area of the map now, the whole game just shuts down.
And it's like... But they leave... it's why I get so fucking annoyed at Bethesda releasing Skyrim so much. Charging full price. They're still charging 55 quid for it on modern consoles. And leaving all the bugs in!
See, this is why I play everything on PC. Because if something goes wrong, I can just model console commands to fix it.
I cannot believe that you did a lot of your original Fallout stuff on the Xbox. That just sounds like the worst.
Well, I didn't have an original I didn't have a PC.
No, I know, but it still sounds like the worst time. Like I'm amazed that you could stand it. Is all I mean by that. Like
I didn't know what I was missing. I didn't know any better.
Yeah, but I suppose on the Steam Deck you can mod them. Are you still playing Fallout 4 modded on your Steam Deck at all, Daniel?
No, Persona 4 and Marvel Snap are taking up all my time. I did play briefly yesterday.
Those
I did
two
have a
intensive games.
I don't have a lot of time. I'm finishing the book, man. This is the last sprint of it, so it's just book time, and I'm regularly streaming now. Whoa, go me! Whoa, go me! Yes, finally. Also, I played Vice City Definitive Edition yesterday for the first time.
I've been meaning to play Vice City for the first time, given we now know that's where the next GTA is going to be.
Don't play the Definitive Edition.
Don't play the Definitive Edition, John, because even now, because it's free on PS5, so I was like...
That's fine, I don't own a PS5.
I was like, free's good, I'll do a little stream of that. So I tried it, it's still fucking broken as shit.
Mm-hmm.
From warping through walls and shit that was super easy to just trigger by, except every time I got out of a car that was burning, the car would just freeze, its physics would just stop. Lampposts have huge, bizarre, weird physics. So if you hit a lamppost, it might just catapult you miles into the distance. Also,
that sounds like a good thing to me. That sounds like the sort of jank I want out of my games.
Yeah, but that's the sign of jank I'd accept out of like a Saints Row, but not Vice City.
There's a weird thing with them as well, because the other day I downloaded San Andreas on the Switch again, because they did that big patch like a couple of weeks after it initially released, but they hadn't patched it until like a week ago. And they patched it again and they went, ooh, I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll run at 60 on the Switch, because why wouldn't Vice City, even with fancier graphics, not be able to... If Kirby's new Fancy Boy game can run at 60 on the Switch, then Vice City can. But no. Somehow the most recent patch, I feel like it's running worse now. Which is actually incredible.
Oh no, the 13 remastered devs strike again.
Genuinely, it has that amount of care and attention put into it. It's ridiculous. And all they needed to do on the Switch was go, hey, we've up-res the UI, and we've made it work on the Switch. And I would have went, thanks. And that would have been it. I didn't need anything else.
This is what I literally ended up doing with 13, by the way. After they attempted to remaster it twice and it kept getting worse, I just basically looked up a quick guide on modding it and basically found the 2 INI files that are needed and changed the resolution of the original 13, available for £3 on Steam, to 1080p by typing, 1920 and 1080 into one text file. And then I just increased the FOV by 15 points in a different INI file, and it works, and it's beautiful.
I
and
cannot
it plays
believe
fine.
they tried twice to remaster that separately.
This was not a joke. Like, people genuinely we've got to say, actually, I bought the remastered, I played it, I've tried your version, yours is better.
For those who don't know, by the way, so 13...
The John remastered version is the superior way to play 13.
13 is kind of a popular older game that was kind of a bit of a cult classic more than anything.
Oh, fuck, it's so much more than that. It's a fucking incredible game.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. There's this big community behind it who really, really just love that game.
It's like Beyond Good and Evil. They came at about the same time.
Yeah.
And in my head, they're the 2 games that I had that no one else had on their PS2.
That's
and
exactly what I mean.
You have to play these fucking
I think, it's one of the best shooters of that generation. I'd say, Time Splitters franchise is there, 13 is there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't play it from that gen. And, being re-released on modern stuff with a bit of a, up-res, good idea in concept. Yeah. And they released it, and it was a fucking absolute visual mess. I mean, both you and Daniel have done videos on it.
Oh, the original is it's cel-shaded because it's based on a French comic book. So to maintain
actually.
Belgian, sorry, yes. So I always say that about Tintin as well.
Well, it's written in French, but it's Belgian.
So there we go. It's like what Hitler was in German, was he was Austrian.
Always go back to Hitler.
Go back to Hitler. Sorry, it's Twitter. I'm so into Twitter now. Because it was cel shaded to look like the old comic book stuff. And on the PS2, cel shaded stuff has just aged again, a fine wine. It looks glorious. It's really good, and it had such great stealth mechanics because to hear enemies behind walls, you saw the tapping sound their feet were making. You could hear it as well, but you could see it through the wall. You could see a little tap, 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 tap. So you knew somebody was behind that wall, so you could really easily, not easily, because it was a very difficult game, but you could you get a lot more stealth options. And it was brutal, and it was wonderful, and there was kind of nothing like it. It wasn't just because I think in that era, you got your time splitters. I argue that Black's fantastic from that era as well, but nobody played that either. But for a complete package, 13 was just an intriguing plot, beautiful visuals. It's everything you wanted. And it ended on a cliffhanger, which I hated so much. So much.
And then the remaster got rid of the cel shading, got rid of a lot of the style, Got
Yeah.
rid of
It
a lot
looked
of
like
charm,
Fortnite. It looked very Fortnite-y.
and it was
It
buggy
got
and broken.
shiny. Yeah, it got that toy shine.
Yeah,
And then the remaster,
which is a
they
separate
sort of
game, by the way. It's not a patch for the initial one. It's a new game.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't actually like. It still wasn't cell shading.
Yeah.
It was like a weird Instagram filter over the original glossy Fortnite graphics.
Yeah.
And like in some ways, some of the characters looked a tiny bit better, but the environment suddenly looked a lot worse because they were just so aggressively garish now.
Yeah.
Have you
Garish?
two seen? There's been this
Do we pronounce it garish or garish?
I pronounce it
Ooh.
Garak. Just for
Is that Britain? Is that British versus America, or am I just a dumbass? 'Cause it could be either, really.
I think you're just a dumbass, John. That's you're around being a dumbass. That's what you are. You.
I think we're all about around that.
Wait.
level.
Let's get Google to pronounce it.
I think we're all dumbish.
Garish. That's my impression.
Garish.
Hey!
Garish. Garish.
Garish.
Sounds like
Was that your
Garish.
impression of the gentle
Garish.
reading man?
What the fuck was that?
That's the reading woman, but it's slow for
Oh.
pronunciation.
Garish.
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 Oh wait,
Garish.
there's American
Because you're
pronunciation.
13 and your
Garish.
That's just the
garish
American pronunciation.
visuals.
Garish.
Yeah, it's just garish.
Garish.
I do enjoy how many of those videos just seem to be wrong, though. People have just put together pronunciation guides that have no relation to reality.
Oh, I
This is
love
This is on
those.
Google. You know what I like though? The pronunciation, right? The only difference is the British and American pronunciation, and it's specifically, you know how phonetically written out words.
Yes.
It's done that, and the only difference between those two phonetic spellings is that the G at the start, the GEH, in the British one it has a U in it. Very British to add a U into a word unnecessarily.
I will say though that
No, that's the wrong way around. It's the Americans who take out the U's unnecessarily.
yeah, it's true. I will say
There
though
should be
that
more U's.
we
more
do
S's.
now know that garish is closer to gare than garabout.
Jesus Christ.
The fuck?
Jesus Christ. Point is,
awkward
they fucked up the
silence.
remaster. Was the
Yeah, we were talking about
Both of them.
games.
both of them? They fucked them up.
It's weird because that's the
Completely.
kind of game that you'd want to remaster. I think that remastering those cult classics and giving them the time in the sun is a great fucking
But
thing.
isn't it amazing that you can take a game like 13, or you can take a game like Vice City and somehow make them worse?
I don't know how you make Vice
It's
City
really,
worse.
I feel like it's really
No,
difficult
I
to fuck
don't
that
think it's
up.
actually that difficult at all, because many games are a function of a combination of very limited technology of the day that they were created in, blended with some very talented individuals. If you then say to a different team, hey, here's some vastly superior tech, but you're a bunch of useless fuckers, do it again, I think it's pretty natural they're going to do worse.
I mean, yeah, but modders just release the original game with
Well,
mods
actually,
glued to them.
have you two seen? There's been this kind of a lot of videos appear on YouTube lately called like his run fan remasters or remakes.
Yeah, I've been watching that guy. He's great.
No, but there's. You say that guy. There's like 6 of them all doing the same thing differently.
Oh, the New Zealander.
There's loads of them. There's some that are silent, whatever. Point is, all of them, every single one, I've looked at a lot of them, and every single one I think the game looks worse.
Oh, I
Every single
disagree.
one.
The one that I watch isn't.
Which one do you watch?
I'm going to look him up. I'm going to give him a shout out.
Oh, and then you know what? You'll give him a shout out, and then in like a month's time, it'll turn out they're a fucking, abortion denier or
they're an abortion.
denier.
Yeah.
I don't believe in them.
They're an abortion. They're an abortionist. They're Oh, there you go. His Reubs, Reubs,
Reubs.
who I think has taken is kind of redoing stuff in a way that
I really don't like them.
has kept the feel and the vibe of the game going. Like genuinely
I
beautiful.
think it's over. I think it's that. It's got the same vibe, and I like a lot of what they're doing, but I do think it sort of inherently changes what the game is.
No, I strongly disagree with what he's doing. He's keeping that cartoony feel to it.
I mean,
There's a really nice cartoony vibe that he's got.
it is, but it's that cartooniness that I associate with New Simpsons, which is this very smooth, very oversaturated look. And obviously,
Yeah, but that's
I
what
want,
you
but I want
want.
that hand animated kind of rough look. I'm not saying you should make the game hand animated, but that sort of being a bit rough around the edges is part of.
No, the original game was that. The original game was smooth. Couldn't have been anything else.
It was designed to be smooth, but because of the tech, it didn't look that smooth as well, I mean.
Yeah, it's also made into an open world, which I thought was nice, because the game is just going to
I agree
big
with
piece
that.
of fucking shit. It's an awful game. It's an awful, awful game.
That is a game I would genuinely like to see a new version, like not a remake, but like an actual new hit and run.
A Simpsons open world game.
Yeah, but in the style of hit and run, like an actual sequel to a spiritual successor to hit and run. Because we've had a bunch of Simpsons open world games.
How did we come to the conclusion that the best way to do a Simpsons video game would be a violent,
GTA
crazy taxi thing?
I mean, GTA clones, they work, don't they?
I mean, I disagree, because I think the best Simpsons game is the Simpsons game that wasn't tied in, but came out about the same time as the movie.
Oh, that one.
PS3 era. That was really good.
Set levels, wasn't it?
That was set levels, yeah. And the DS version, 'cause I think it was DS at the time, and the console versions are two very different games. They go through the same levels, but there's completely different and built differently, and they're both entirely worth playing.
I think, what's 2007? That was.
Oh, actually, here's a question. What's the worst Simpsons game? There is a correct answer.
There's probably some I'm not aware of.
It was on the PlayStation 1.
Oh, I don't know. My knowledge of any PS1 games is basically none.
Oh, interesting. I wondered if it had, if it was a known quantity of how
this is not a known commodity to me. The closest I could get is I'm more familiar with the history of the South Park video games, where they made one for the N64, which tragically came out just a couple of years before cell shading made South Park games look about right.
Just based on the names, I'm gonna just guess the Simpsons Wrestling.
Correct. The Simpsons Wrestling is a fucking awful, awful, awful video game.
Yeah,
I just quite enjoy how you can kind of tell the difference of the early games, where like of the first five, basically 4 of them are very specifically branded as Bart Simpson games.
Yes.
And how Bart used to be the main character in the early days of The Simpsons before it became more of a well-rounded family thing.
Yeah. And they're great. Those original games are genuinely really great.
Yeah, I remember playing a few of those.
In fact, if you just skip like 1 or 2, then it's more Bart meets Radioactive Man, Bart and the Beanstalk. What the fuck?
Ooh, Virtual Bart.
Sorry, they just made a tiny Game Boy platformer where Bart was just doing the Beanstalk story for no reason.
All of them were individual standalone like stories, almost Halloween ones.
I always liked that.
It was really cool.
I've got to feel like Bart and the Beanstalk has to be worse than Simpsons Wrestling, because on the Game Boy you can't even have little comedy voice clips to provide the odd laugh, because you can't do... Well, okay, you could actually do speech on the Game Boy, it was just very difficult. The original Mortal Kombat game on the Game Boy had some really tiny, tinny voice clips, but they were almost impossible to do properly. I feel like Bart and the Beanstalk's probably worse than the Simpsons Wrestling.
I'm going to say this now, it's definitely not.
I'm
looking up a full playthrough of Bart and the Beanstalk.
I'm looking at these list of games here, right? And there's the Simpsons Hit and Run.
Jesus Christ! It's 20 minutes long. The entire game is 20 minutes.
Yes,
What for Bart and the Beanstalk?
Bart and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Okay, a complete playthrough of the Simpsons Wrestling is only 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realise The Simpsons Road Rage and The Simpsons Hit and Run came out the same year.
Yeah.
Oh, the physics is so floaty, and there was so many terrible platformers.
I liked Road Rage. That was just Crazy Taxi, wasn't it?
It was just Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, I remember liking it.
Oh, there's a full gameplay of 33 minutes.
I think some of this may have just been stolen from Mickey Mania's Beanstalk level. I think they've... I'm slightly worried that... Yeah, Bart and the Beanstalk has just stolen some of its assets from a game on the Super NES I'm familiar with. I think it's just the Mickey Mania Beanstalk level, where they did Mickey and the Beanstalk.
A lot of NES games were reused assets from other NES games.
I think they've stolen all the assets.
Yes, they stole them, but I imagine it might have been made by the same development team or someone related to the same development team, and I don't...
Entirely... What the fuck?
I don't think it would have been shamelessly stolen.
Look, I'm so sorry, but I think Bart and the Beanstalk is worse than whatever Simpsons Wrestling is.
It's not.
Like, there are very few things in this world worse than the terrible, terrible piles of really bad platformers that came out on the Game Boy because someone figured out platformers were, one, easy to make, and two, quite successful on the Game Boy. So people just made terrible, terrible platformers. And this just looks like a truly terrible platformer.
Simpsons skateboarding was pretty bad as well, if I remember correctly.
It was definitely terrible, yeah. Yeah.
It was that period of The Simpsons just going, hey, wrestling games and skateboarding games are popular.
Yeah,
Let's make those.
You see, I was kind of assuming that Bart and the Beanstalk, its 20-minute runtime, was due to the fact that whoever was making this long play, as they call it, was, familiar with the game and showing off the whole game. No, they appear to not know where they're going, and they're sort of wandering around blindly, so it would appear that your first playthrough, where you don't know where to go, is still 20 minutes.
Oh my god. Also, sorry, I'm realizing here, I should have realized this earlier, granted, but almost all the Simpsons games are very literally just Simpsons skinned versions of other popular games from that era.
Yes.
All of
how
them.
The Simpsons work.
But the Simpsons game itself...
That used to be very... Holy shit, it's the same candles! I think this is genuinely just a reskinned Mickey Mania.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what?
Yeah. I mean, sorry. The Simpsons game, I think, was a bit more original. Probably the most original out of all of them. I mean, it's a low bar. It's a very low bar. But, like... I never really like, because 2007 is Simpsons movie era Simpsons, where I didn't like the comedy. Whereas 2003 was all the stuff in Hit and Run was pre-season 10 references, which is golden era Simpsons, which I liked more, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like that game so much.
Okay, so...
It's from the right era of The Simpsons.
The Simpsons part of the Beanstalk, I've looked at reviews for it. It seemed to get 5s out of 10s and 3.5s out of 5s.
I've located a soup boss fight where Bart has to jump around a bowl of soup by jumping from crouton to crouton. And he wins the boss fight by getting to the bottom of the plate of soup, at which point Bart sort of vaguely shrugs his shoulders at the camera. I'm not sure what he's supposed to be indicating, but it looks like he's just like, well, I don't know what the fuck I do now. That's possibly was supposed to indicate something else. And as a result of that, the boss fight is over, which he has won, because he successfully made it to the lower bit of the bowl of soup, thereby escaping the soup.
Okay, so.
Like I just had a stroke. What?
Simpsons Bart of the Beanstalk.
Bart of the Beanstalk, yeah.
Nintendo Power gave it a 3.275 out of 5. Whatever the fuck that means.
That seems very generous.
But it seems from everywhere, the lowest score it got was EGM gave it a 5.25 out of 10.
Well, the thing is, I guess you do have to factor in that there were just some truly bad original Game Boy games.
I know, but listen to this. The Simpsons Wrestling's Metacritic score, because the other game is so unknown it doesn't even have a Metacritic, is 32 out of 100. So the lowest score for Bart and the Beanstalk is higher than the average score for Simpsons Wrestling, including IGN, who gave it a 1 out of 10.
Ooh.
But is that because generally you are more generous to a game on a weaker system?
I think
when they came out, I imagine it wasn't as shit as... Because now, I guess, it would be considered shit, but like when it released...
I mean, bear in mind, it's not like, the original Game Boy games had to be shit. Like, Super Mario 2 6 gold coins is the original Game Boy. That is a fucking excellent platformer that holds up very nicely to this day. Super Mario Land, the original, hardly spectacular, but still perfectly playable. Not a horrible, horrible mess at the bare minimum. Okay, I'm going to give it a bonus point because at the end, when Bart has to escape the Beanstalk, having stolen the golden goose, who, by the way, is in no way a Simpsons joke, it's just a goose. And so that's fucking stupid. These have got... Monty Burns appears to be a cloud boss. He's an angry cloud that tosses lightning at you. So they kind of thought, okay, we're going to just shoehorn some characters in here. But when Bart's escaping, he appears to be jumping from the Beanstalk and parachuting down. So there's like a physics section where you have to just move side to side to avoid obstacles while you're falling. Although, I'm going to be honest, I think during this section, they used the original asset and forgot to insert Bart into it. Because when he's falling, his haircut isn't Bart anymore.
Ooh.
He doesn't look like Bart in the slightest. He looks like someone else with a different haircut and glasses. And I think possibly this was the original game that they reskinned and they forgot to change it during the falling section.
Wait, I found an article on thegamer.com. Yeah. Wow. Which ranked Simpsons games literally just based on the Metacritic score. Number 1 is Hit and Run, which I guess makes sense. Generally considered the most popular. But what do you think number 2 is?
The Simpsons game.
It's not.
Oh, the mobile phone one.
No,
It's a
3
terrible
is the
list, it's
Simpsons
terrible.
game, 5 is tapped out.
Okay. Then I don't know.
The Simpsons
but-
Arcade.
that's not what I was going to say. Virtual Springfield, because Virtual Springfield
And
was
then
banging.
4 is the Simpsons Arcade game, the older one. And then tapped out, and then Road Rage, then the Simpsons game for the Wii, because it was a different game. Then the original Road Rage from the Game Boy Advance, and then skateboarding, and then wrestling.
Wrestling is the worst.
Yeah.
Because wrestling is the worst.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I found another article was actually rated 25, and also that is 25th on the list. And skateboarding is 24th on the list.
Because wrestling is the worst.
Where
Okay, I've
is
got more
your
Bart and
boy?
the Beanstalk updates for
Oh,
you.
19th is Bart and the Beanstalk. It's 19th out of 25 on Metacritic ratings.
So,
There you
on
go.
the box of Bart and the Beanstalk is Bart running away from a giant Homer.
Yep.
All right, that's literally the title pitch. It's your Bart and you're running away from a giant Homer. At no point in the game do you run away from a giant Homer. You find the goose and then you walk along some clouds, right? And then you do the thing where you're dropping out of the sky in a parachute, and when you get to the bottom, that's the end of the game.
Not
there is no
true.
giant Homer
Not
in the
true.
game where there is a giant Homer on the box.
Not true. There is.
Oh shit! Are you calling me a liar on the topic of Bart and the Beanstalk?
I've gone to the long play,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm on right now.
at the end cutscene, there is a scene of a giant Homer with a tiny Bart standing on top of him.
I can see a scene of Bart with a beanstalk in the background.
No, hang on,
I
wait.
cannot see a Homer, and he definitely doesn't show up during gameplay. Like I found the exact moment in the
There you
long
go.
play.
2034 on the long play if it's 2139. 2129.
Yeah, that's the one I'm on.
Go to
2034. All right.
2034. Tell me what you see.
So yeah, the giant fella. The giant looks like Homer, and there's a joke that Homer is in the original Homer on the ground thinks they. Okay, yes, there is one shot of a giant Homer's head, but you never saw him chasing Bart. We just go straight from giant Homer doesn't exist to here's homicide. That's it.
I mean,
So the giant's dead.
RP the giant.
I don't know
who
why
looks
you're
exactly like
expecting
Homer.
greater things from that game, honestly, John. You seem
I don't know.
offended that it's
Look,
not
okay,
better than
I'm
it
not
is.
expecting much. I'm not expecting much, but I'm expecting the game where there is a giant chasing Bart on the box to feature a giant chasing Bart. And I don't think I'm being a fussy pleb
No,
at this
that's
point.
fine.
I think that is
think
within
you
the
are.
realms of acceptable expectations.
I
I mean, you
think
are a
you
fussy
are.
pleb generally.
I've played a lot of games especially from those eras where the game, if you go earlier, is what is listed on the box isn't even what the game
God, yeah.
is.
I also quite like how this was made by Acclaim, which is excellent, who otherwise made some quite high-effort games.
Published by Acclaim.
You know what I'm finding
surely.
interesting as
They
well? I'm looking at this other
making it.
article, which lists all of them, right? And one
Have
of
you
the
seen that
highest...
Tails is a spider now?
What?
Also, what is Bart versus the Juggernauts? Because I've watched a lot of early Simpsons, and I've never heard of the Juggernauts.
No idea.
I don't. I played that game. Weirdly.
You played Bart versus the Juggernauts?
I haven't played all of it, but I have played it.
Who are the Juggernauts? What is the setup?
X-Men.
It's literally just American Gladiators.
Oh, fun.
But they didn't want to pay for the license of American Gladiators.
Yes, it's just a lot of little mini games for the original Game Boy.
Oh, I used to hate
It
those.
does look like one of the Gladiators is Barney. There's definitely a fight that looks like he's fighting Barney in this game.
Yeah, I don't really remember much about
Does
it.
Bart just kick the shit
bored.
out of Barney at some point? That's harsh.
It's one of those classic original Game Boy games that was just shit. But because it was just fucking
Hey,
dull.
it's long play runtime. Oh god, it's another game where Bart's doing parachuting. It's long play runtime.
I think it was probably I think they just made one game and then just kept re-releasing it with slightly different, slightly different order and whatnot.
What's the runtime, Daniel?
Longer than that of the Simpsons Wrestling.
It's true. There's a whole 40 minutes in this.
Whoa.
You get your money's worth.
Well, actually, genuinely, right. So the one game on this list, which isn't in the Wikipedia list technically, but is considered as part of is considered a Simpsons game for this list, is the Simpsons Lego Dimensions.
Oh.
Specifically because apparently it's a big level. It's huge. In that,
yeah.
There's a slightly misplaced masturbation joke in the Bart versus the Juggernauts.
yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff from that.
Welcome to the
Just
90s.
in one of the opening discussions, what's the name of the psychiatrist who died and isn't in The Simpsons anymore?
Dr. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. That's
Yes.
Monroe.
He's in one of the opening cutscenes. He's doing a discussion with Kent Brockman about Bart taking on the Juggernauts. He comments, "Fighting should be done in moderation. I urge Bart to watch my upcoming TV special, Men Who Pound Too Much."
It's a good joke.
Okay, that's an interesting
That's
line
worth
to
the
have put
game.
in your
That's worth
Game
the
Boy Simpsons
I mean,
game
admittedly, I would
about a
expect the
10-year-old
Simpsons to do
child.
games to do jokes like that.
I mean, that's the right thing for it, isn't it?
Well, what was it?
Okay, there's a skateboarding section that exists.
What was
That's,
it?
I mean, it looks like there's actually got some actual momentum to it, like physics. Okay, you know what? I'm impressed by Bart versus the Juggernauts. In fact, there's like a extreme sports section where you're supposed to like get some speed up on a ramp and then use the physics and momentum to hit one of the Juggernauts and knock him off the platform. So you have to control your speed in order to get the physics right. I'm genuinely impressed. Hope this is in like the top 10 of Simpsons games of all time.
It was not.
Oh.
As I say, it's like
Bart versus the Juggernauts has been robbed.
the only one. I mean, Simpsons Cartoon Studio is a weird one.
I mean, physics and momentum in an original Game Boy game is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, Virtual Springfield is a point-and-click adventure. That's odd.
It's a weird little one. It's good, though.
But say the Simpsons Lego Dimensions one, which I always annoyed at Lego Dimensions just because apparently it had a lot of little games that I always wanted to play, but
Yeah. It's a Lego
but
game.
Apparently, yeah, you're playing that the chili pepper level basically, where he hallucinates. And apparently, it's based on that.
Hang on a second. I'll be back. Maybe.
Oh, well, the next section was you related, Daniel. Daniel,
I'll stand in.
Oh, okay. Well, the game contains all the weird humor. Owners of the TARDIS can uncover a dock for the TARDIS, put their TARDIS in, and then play a Jetsons level. John?
Yes.
No, say something.
I'm just being distracted by the fact that one of the boss fights in Bart's vs. the Juggernauts appears to be Bart taking on a booby wrestler who attempts to kiss him, so he has to ram her with his spiky hair to push her off the sumo
John,
platform.
have you played that Michael Jackson game for the... Is it the SNES or the NES? I think it's the SNES.
No, I've never played any Michael Jackson licensed
Yeah, it's
games.
Moonwalker, and you know, you're talking about insensitivity, but Michael Jackson wandering around a house, but there's loads of innocent children on their own. Michael going up to them, touching them, and the Kindles going, Michael! And then Michael going, hey! Is literally the worst. It's aged like, butter. Like,
Oh shit, I found the parachute section that's in literally every Game Boy Simpsons game because they were all functionally the same game.
yeah.
There's the parachute section.
Because when I was younger, I was really into The Simpsons, and I didn't really get into console gaming till later, until like I was a teenager. So like I got into consoles during the PS2 era, But when I was younger, I used to I played like Game Boys, like Game Boys I'd just gotten cheap or free or whatever. And you know one of those, those things you used to get. It was like always like a It's like an N64 controller or something like that. It had component cables that you plugged into your TV directly. And it was just
you straight up just plugged them into the TV.
Yeah, and it was like loads of NES ROMs.
You used to see these like all the time as like advertised in video game magazines for like
and they were
30,
definitely
40
illegal
pounds or
because they were
something.
just full of pirated ROMs.
And for some reason, like legitimate video game magazines just publish these ads for illegal goods. Absolutely.
Really weird time period. But
And cheat cartridges. You used to get like the Game Shark and stuff. You just bought cheat cartridges and cross country emulation gear because games used to be region locked.
But that's it.
And they literally ran at different speeds.
Oh, they still do.
Thanks. Yeah, PAL versus NTSC.
There's
Games
some,
just ran at different speeds.
Konami, terrible, but they released the Castlevania collection and the Contra collection. And what I really like about both of those is they come with every single version of the game. They come with the Japanese one, the NTSC one, and the PAL ones, which were all slightly marketed differently. They have all of the original PDFs for all the books and stuff like that, but also they will run at different speeds. And the game is like, hey, just so you know, this game runs slightly faster when you're running in this mode. And I really like that.
Completely understand that, but that's just how it was.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it was. We just had to deal with over in the PAL regions. We just had to deal with games that were like 10% slower.
There's been this problem. I've been fucking because I do those watch parties on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when I do a movie that is on Prime in the UK but not anywhere else, it will often be like on Netflix in other countries or something. So I'll just kind of say, hey, I'll just give a timestamp and you can watch it on Netflix and you can just sync it up, which usually works great. But we were watching The fucking Rock. The fucking PAL version of The Rock, obviously, is just running at a slightly different speed.
What, the whole movie?
Yes, because it has an extra frame or... it's got extra frame or...
Amazing.
What does it have? I can't remember.
Well, you know, as of course we know as people who work in this industry, you can ever so slightly speed up or slow down audio, and it's indistinguishable to the ear.
And it is
because
literally that.
you know, we almost certainly do on a regular basis, especially when, say, a video recording of a game and the audio recording of our voices end up being, you know, a second or two longer or shorter, so we just have to squish or extend them. And you can make tiny changes like that and no one can ever hear it.
Well, so
we just do that to maintain sync.
Yeah, well, this is NTSC is 23.97 FPS.
Yeah.
PAL's 25. So the PAL version was a shorter film. And it kept being a problem because everyone else who was watching it was watching going, oh my god, this thing just happened. And they're like, well, I'm fucking 3 minutes. I had to keep resyncing people every 3 minutes, which is ridiculous. And I don't know why the fuck we are still doing that. Why did Amazon have the different version still? It's fucking and games. Oh my god, the speed of it's bizarre. I still find that it is you get that differentiation. And I've been trying to I got a I don't know where it is. I bought a little handheld called an Odin.
An Odin?
Yeah, it's
like the god?
Yeah, it's made by a company called AYN, whatever.
Yeah.
They were trying.
Is this a modern device or is this a retro device?
Brand new. It's just a Chinese company, and it's intended as it's about the size of a Switch Lite. Looks like a Switch Lite. And it runs Android. And the intention behind it is that it's supposed to be for, you know, all the game streaming you can do, you know, like Xbox Game Pass, like Ultimate, where you can stream it, or your PlayStation 1. It's really good for that. And also it can do emulation really well. It can do up to PS2 emulation very comfortably. And it can dock like a Switch, and it can work in a Switch dock, and it's cool. The dock you get for it, I think is interesting, because it's huge, and it has a weird amount of ports, but it has actual N64 and GameCube ports on it, so you can actually plug your real N64 controller or GameCube controllers into it and it'll work. But
this sounds highly illegal.
It's not, because when you buy it, it doesn't come with games or anything. You don't. It's just a device that.
That's true, of course. The workaround has always been for emulation to keep it on the right side of the law. Emulators are legal, but the ROMs are the bit you can't share.
And it's just Android.
So as long as you very firmly say we definitely don't encourre any of that nonsense.
Yeah, that's why all the marketing for it is like, hey, this is for game streaming, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
but I got it, and I've put I've put not illegally acquired ROMs on it.
All my ROMs are legal. All I've got is I've got Project Dolphin. I got that, and every single ROM I have is a game that I legally own that I use the Wii to get the code of. All right, my legally owned games, 100%.
Newer stuff
all
like
my
that,
Project
100%.
Dolphin is legit.
Because I always consider, you know, like a lot of older titles are basically abandonware at this point.
Yeah.
And I do not feel like if I'm playing a ROM of an abandonware game, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, fucking Nintendo are already on their way to your house, mate.
Well,
Nintendo are coming in the fucking window inside 10 minutes.
My attitude
because they're like, no, we can fucking sell you NES games on a subscription.
But my thing is, honestly, if I can do them, right, if I can buy the game from Nintendo, I will. Rather than emulate it, I'd rather do that.
Those fuckers know I'm a whore for them already, absolutely.
But so this is the thing, I don't care about. So I'm trying to emulate stuff, and I was going through all the games, and oh my god, it's like I click a game and there's like, here's 7 versions, and they're and it's because
this happens like. Have you signed up to the Switch N64 thing?
Yeah, we've got a family pass.
Where you actually do have multiple versions of the same game present on that on occasion.
Yeah, but I know one of the problems with that, though, is because I have the official Nintendo. By the way, I love Nintendo's official controllers, retro controllers. They're fantastic because they're USB-C.
What,
All of them.
Including the original N64 controller.
Yeah, no, because they're exact perfect replicas, right, of the originals.
Yeah, but the problem was that's not good.
Well, this is
like, okay, the N64 controller was revolutionary at its time, but we have
no, I
moved
agree.
on.
It's not a good controller, but admittedly, there is a weird thing. A lot of the N64 games you play, because of the way the N64 controller was mapped, you can't often map the same things to a modern device because of the button layout.
Yeah, because you had the A, B, and you had 4 C buttons that were all designed to be easily accessible with your primary right-hand thumb, which is difficult to recreate.
Yeah,
yes.
and obviously a lot of the games didn't have the right. So they've been doing this weird mapping, and a lot of people playing those N64 games on the Switch often.
I mean, I imagine what you'd have to do if you were looking for a modern controller, you put the Z trigger on left trigger, you put the right shoulder button on a right trigger, maybe like C left and C right you'd put on left button and right button, and then at X and Y you would be the top and bottom C buttons, and then A and B can be as they should be.
Well, what Nintendo have done is
that would more or less work.
Nintendo have done a custom layout for each game, because obviously some games don't even use the C buttons.
Yes.
Or whatever, which is good, but obviously in a lot of games that are more complicated or bigger, like Ocarina of Time or something like that, apparently everyone was complaining.
The C buttons are very important because 3 of them are literally used for your primary items.
Everyone was complaining about how the control mapping was, and I don't know if there's a way around it. And one of the reasons I got the N64 controller is because I wanted to. I always like playing older games the way they were built to be at the time. Not because I think that's necessarily the best way, but I find it because, especially a lot of these Nintendo games, I miss them. I sort of my N64 controller I got because
it reminds me of a time when the world wasn't quite so on fire. If it was, we weren't so conceptually aware of it.
Yeah, and it's nice to just sort of enjoy how it would have been at the time, because playing emulated up-res things is fun enough in its own way.
Yeah, some of them have aged really well, like Super Mario 64. Some of them not so much.
Exactly.
I think Yoshi's story is just really fucking boring and clunky now.
Yes. So this is the thing. So I got all these controllers to do that with, and I'm really enjoying that aspect. However, as a lot of people are noting with, especially the N64 stuff, in that the way Nintendo are emulating it is a bad way of emulation. And a lot of people are pointing out that most modern emulators for the N64 will run the game better, with less input lag, with less artifacting, and just run perfectly.
Completely understandable.
And so in those instances, again, if I'm paying for that and I have access to that game, I do not then feel morally bad going over to the Odin and going, I'm going to play that same game, but, working at a proper resolution, because I've given them the fucking money for it. I always, they're always kind of in that legal gray zone. I think it's morally appropriate if I'm paying for the damn thing, and I
quite like, by the way, how the ending of Virtual Bart is quite nightmarish.
Oh?
Sorry, I've just been looking into more Bart Simpson games. So Virtual Bart, he gets trapped in a virtual reality device brought to the science fair by Martin Prince, obviously. But yes, in the event that you get a game over, the system crashes and the real Bart is trapped inside the virtual world forever and can never escape. Which is that's quite dark,
no,
really.
I feel like a lot of things just end with a weird
Especially as one of the levels is Bart is a pig who has been captured and taken to Krusty's pork factory.
Oh.
Which is, it's quite a dark setup, really.
Oh, also, I've just got a text from Daniel.
Yes.
Informing me that he is feeling unwell and has bailed.
Right. Fair enough, I suppose.
He's still here in the
Great,
channel,
now we
but
can
he's
talk
dead.
shit about Daniel. I think especially it's particularly interesting how, yes, the 6 levels of Virtual Bart, which are 6 virtual reality scenarios, the one either side of Bart is a pig who is now inside an abattoir is a young Bart follows a moving ice cream truck, and Bart tries to ruin his school picture day by throwing tomatoes at his classmates. Which are, quite light, fluffy affairs.
that's
In
a
the middle of
light
that, you
thing,
just go, you are now a pig and you're in Krusty's abattoir.
But so many.
Escape.
So many.
And it's not just
stuff.
you have to escape, by the way. It's a class uprising story. After you escape, you have to set off to free the captured pigs. So therefore, you need to help all the pigs escape, and they overthrow the factory owners, and Bart is held as a hero by the pigs. So you've kind of got a horror Les Miserables right in the middle, but with pigs. Right in the middle of Bart follows an ice cream truck and Bart tosses tomatoes at his classmates.
Which one's
it
this
just
again?
feels out of place to
which
me
one's
in
this
some
again?
ways. This is Virtual Bart on the
Virtual
Sega
Bart.
Genesis and Super NES.
Okay. Oh, 94.
There's also the final level, meanwhile, is a post-apocalypse scenario. After the nuclear power plant explodes, causing Springfield to become an apocalyptic wasteland, and then Bart seems to be doing a light, kind of like, yes,
Sorry.
various
When you said Bart
apocalypse
was a pig, I'm
films.
looking at screenshot. When you said Bart was a pig, I wasn't expecting him to be still his skin coloured yellow.
Yes.
I thought he was going to be pink, but no, it's just a yellow naked pig with a Bart head, which is really
yes,
weird
exactly.
looking. That's going to be on the
Exactly.
thumbnail for this.
I just sound quite like, just Doomsday Bart is just Mad Max Bart.
Oh, that looks.
I mean, in all fairness, that works as like, an escalation right there. Like, if you're going to have one level as the final level, make it the post-apocalypse one as the big finale. Now, that's right. Like, apparently, if this were played by Persona rules, that'd be the 6th level of 7, and 7 would just be Bart goes to the quickie button,
John,
orders a
it's
slushy,
not
and nothing fucking interesting
you
happens.
do the big boss, and you pause for a while, and then you're like, oh, we've got this power, we should be doing some good with it, and then you find other big bosses, then you keep going. I don't know where it ends, but a while away, I imagine. But like I say, I'm kind of just having a nice time Persona. I'm like, find the big boss. It's like, oh, we've got to do the midterm exams. Also, I found...
You know what? I respect Virtual Bart for having its opening. The big hook to get you in is Bart is a dinosaur and runs around primitive Springfield eating
What
primitive
the
humans
fuck
who
is that?
resemble
Every
modern...
time you say anything about this, it sounds more fucking mad.
I love this game. I need to find this emulated. Virtual Bart on the Sega Genesis. This sounds fucking incredible.
If my Odin had shards, I'd open it right now. Where is my Odin? Where is it? Oh, it's there. Oh, it's in my little tech bag. Why, do you have any charge, Mr. Odin? No. Well, I can play Virtual Bot later because I have every single game from every console up till the 90s on it.
Well, you can play Virtual Bart, which appears to actually have... I mean, I appreciate, like, you know what? Let's have Bart be a dinosaur eating people as that's a strong hook opening. That is a good opening.
I don't know if you need the hook.
Right
I mean,
there.
if you buy the game and the game's like, you're like, oh, you ran for a Simpsons adventure. Dot a dinosaur? Bart's a dinosaur.
Bart's a dinosaur
Yeah.
now.
It's
It's like, you know what? I'm down for this. Then you've got a chase scenario. Then Bart needs to lead a class uprising of an underclass against their cruel oppressors. And then,
I mean, when you said that,
then
I was half expecting like an Animal Farm style situation.
no, it's inverted Animal Farm. This time the pigs have been sent to the knacker's yard, alright, as punishment for what they did to Boxer. Dear oh flipping
I just
dear.
feel like it's this thing though, if they just took a fucking something ridiculously contrived and just try and put it into
I was genuinely expecting this to have been a huge hit, but no, Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it 4.8 out of 10, saying the controls are awful, the stage is unappealing, the whole thing seems rushed.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
I may have been generous in
Simpsons
my
games are
initial
that. Remember
interpretation.
All Simpsons games are literally just that. All of them seem to be copies. And the only one that people consider good, really, is Hit and Run. Because it was a clone of GTA and it had the perfect mix of Simpsons humor. Because it was that season 10 stuff. I want to play Road Rage again, though. I've looked at lots of screenshots of it and I really want to play Road Rage. I wonder if that's on here. Was that PS2? Oh, hang on. Oh, that was a PS2. Oh. I don't have any of those games. I really wanted to get a PS2 so I could play original, like, buy discs of them.
There's like 200 million of them worldwide. Just buy one on eBay.
Well, that's my plan because I've been trying to. I've been collecting Xbox original.
These
Xbox
weren't in short supply. That Sony didn't really restrict supply of the PS2.
Well, no, I'm intending to at some point when I've got somewhere to put it. But one of the
Like,
reasons
literally just go outside and go through the bins nearby. Probably statistically,
John,
there's going to be a PS2 in
I
one of
only
them.
have one disc that I can use on it because you can play PS1 and PS2 games. Right? And I only have one single disc that I can play on it, and it is the PlayStation 1 game adaptation of the George Clooney Batman and Robin.
Amazing.
Which I had to buy when I saw it.
In all fairness, I literally bought an original Xbox and various bits of equipment to help it communicate with modern capture cards, purely so I could play the original Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. That wasn't worth it. That wasn't worth the trouble I had to go to make that work.
The Xbox is a bit of a faff. I've opened mine up and fixed them. I have to solder the fucking board, mate. Like,
Well, I bought one that someone had prefixed and made at least workable.
yeah.
But it was a strange old thing where if it loses power, it forgets what time it is. It's got no internal battery.
Well, you know
apparently.
why?
What? Oh, apparently there's an interesting fact I'm about to learn about science.
Well, no, there's two things, right? It doesn't have a CMOS battery to keep
Two
the time.
interesting facts. Holy fuck.
But it did have what was called a clock capacitor, right? And capacitors are basically just small.
This sounds like the sort of thing you'd put in a time machine. This sounds fancy.
Capacitors are just little batteries, right? They're just little tiny batteries.
No, don't ruin this for me. I'm imagining a big glowy blue thing with a clock on the front, but the clock's not just a clock. Like the hands are spinning really fast backwards to represent that it's like a time machine.
Okay, that's what's in the Xbox, right? So you've got this big glowy thing with the clock hands on spinning backwards. And that...
Holy shit, I should put this inside a lead box for
that
safety.
can keep the saved time on the system for, I think, like an hour or something. So if you unplug it and you plugged it back in somewhere else in a short amount of time, it still keep the time. The problem is, when Microsoft were producing those Xboxes, it was from a brief period in sort of the early 2000s where most capacitors that were being made were faulty and could explode. And would explode. And what ends up happening...
How big an explode? When you say explode, is this a very dramatic turn for just fizzle out a bit?
No, the top pops open. It goes... Poof, and it makes a little pop sound and smoke comes out of it.
Okay.
And so...
We weren't talking like, windows blown out, small children knocked out of 7-story windows, falls to their death, tragically. Like you just, you step outside onto a Liverpool rooftop and you just kind of sob at the horror of seeing just an explosion child blast out of a window. Blast out of a window. And you just kind of see it's a nightmare scenario where all across the city in front of you, children are being blown out of windows by their exploding Xbox.
Okay, so yes, the capacitor in the Xbox, right? It's a time machine that's also a nuclear bomb, right? And...
Well, yes, plutonium. You use plutonium to power time machines, man. Come on, is this your first fucking time machine?
Okay, see, I didn't realize you knew so much about it, but I'll continue.
Thank you. I have been. I've watched one documentary.
The problem
on this
with
topic.
this plutonium time machine.
Back to the something.
Oh my god. The problem with it is they're likely to fail because of the era they were made. They were made badly. So the solution with the clock capacitor is a lot of times when these things fizzle, they leak acid. And they basically will cause all the little contacts near it to just get damaged.
I understand. It would cause all the contacts to go to the year 3000.
Yes, that's what it does.
Where not much changed, but they are underwater.
So what?
Which is very, very bad for the Xbox because electricity.
Yes.
Electricity.
Now, the Xbox has a lot of capacitors, but that's always the one that fails, the clock capacitor. So what ends up happening is to fix that, you can just remove it. Because the system still works without the clock capacitor.
I'm guessing that's what's been done to my Xbox.
Yes, 90% of Xboxes that have been fixed are just missing that. They just take it out. They don't even bother to replace it because 90% of the time...
I was thinking that was a bit weird, given, original Game Boy games that had a clock function, the original Pokemon Gold and Silver, can hold their time and date for months without power.
Yeah, so, as I say, it could only... originally only hold it for, an hour or so anyway, but it could hold it for a little bit. But as I say, they get removed because usually when they get replaced, they've already damaged everything around it in that entire bit of clock circuitry. So usually it's just easier just to remove it entirely. If it was if it was not damaged, you could just replace it with a fresh capacitor and it'd be fine. But I say most of the time it's already fucked, so they just say, fuck it. That's what I did to mine. Mine was fucked. I removed the clock capacitor, cleaned all the contacts, and it works fine. But every time I unplug it, it's like, put the time in this really big 3D green interface.
I just didn't bother, which admittedly did cause some problems with finding my save, given it thought my saves. Also, it kept reverting back to, I think, 2005 or something?
Yeah.
If you don't set the time, it thinks it's 2005.
Yeah, bless its little
I'm
heart.
just thinking, wow, you lucky fucker.
Yeah.
You get to travel back in time to 2005.
That's a fun little thing.
Things were less shit.
It's also fun to open up, because when you open it, you realise it's just standard PC parts. It's got a normal PC fan and a normal PC fucking hard drive with normal PC cables.
I mean, yes. I mean, I've never actually opened up a console myself, but I did kind of assume they had, computer components
most
inside them.
no, most-
I at no point thought I was dealing with a Terry Pratchett scenario where if I opened up an N64, it would in fact be a series of small, like, elves doing tiny, just kind of painting the pictures and tossing them onto the screen.
But what,
30 a second.
What I mean is it's like standard stuff. Like when you build a PC, it's the standard. Like normally, all consoles are built like a laptop and they're built with proprietary components and everything's custom. So everything...
Oh, you see, now I'm actually really sad that Terry Pratchett died before he made a Video Games Come to the Discworld novel. Because when he literally did Cinema Comes to the Discworld, where it was all done with, like, not magic and imps and whatnot, it's like, oh, I bet he could have done a really fun video game one. Oh, I'm sad now.
Oh, sad for what we could have had. Terry
Yeah,
Pratchett
like in
didn't
video
quote.
games, you die a lot, and I bet that would have done something to the nature of reality, and Susan and Death would have had to have got involved. Could have involved. It could have been a Susan and Death story, and Colin and Nobby just sort of float around in the background, and Nobby gets really into video game. Oh, this would have been really good.
Why didn't you write it, John?
I've made myself. Yeah, but I don't have the genius of Terry. No one has the genius of Terry Pratchett. I've made myself sad, man.
You can try. Make a fan fiction.
Made myself sad because Terry Pratchett's dead, and there's never going to be any more.
fan fiction, John. Keep the spirit alive.
I bet there's loads of it. I bet it's the problem with fan fiction for Terry Pratchett is it's going to be vastly inferior to
100%.
the original.
But what you
the advantage, say people who write fan fiction for shit franchises, you can reasonably write something that's just as good or better than the original.
But this,
people like the fan fiction authors for Star Wars must have been fucking delighted when Rise of Skywalker came out. It was fucking shit. It was like, I can write better than this in my fucking sleep, mate. Right. And there we go. We've got better shit.
Because there's this period of time as well where fucking Chris Chibnall ran Doctor Who just used to do fan fiction because he used to think it was bad and then did a terrible job. And then we get Star Trek where Mike McMahon, who runs Lower Decks, massive Star Trek nerd, and it's his fan fiction clearly, and there's a lot of in jokes, and that's really fun. And I'm glad we're getting a lot of fan fiction writers start running things now. So maybe, John,
inevitably.
But this is it, John.
Yeah, it makes sense.
What you do, right, is you open up crowdfunding for a new Discworld novel by yourself. Fan.
I'm pretty sure that the estate might have issues with this.
No,
I feel like I might run into legal.
Well, you don't
problems.
call it Discworld. You call it inspired by Discworld. And instead of the character names, it's just like one letter change, right? You do that. You put it on your YouTube channel.
I feel like the lawyers are not going to let me get away with this. You use your YouTube channel
to make a bunch of money from it, right? And then you spend about 4 years writing it, and then release it, and then everyone is disappointed. But you did it, and that's what's important.
Is that what Dan did?
Well, not the releasing.
Is that what Dan's about to do? Now he's not here to defend himself.
Hey,
to be honest, this is what Dan's about.
That book's going to be good, and it's original, and it's needlessly complicated. But you know what? I'm sure it'll be great.
The story of Professor Whom coming soon in the Paradox.
I will say, by the way, the Paradox. I read a lot of excerpts from that book, right? Over time. But the problem is, because of how overlappy the whole thing is, and the chapters are out of order and everything's sort of overlapping on itself, without the whole book, it doesn't really make any sense.
I feel like we shouldn't be the one sounds anything like remotely slang off Dan's book when he's not even here to vaguely defend himself. I think that's a compliment.
I find it really hard to judge it because it's obviously a big overarching story that's overlapping on itself. I'm reading an excerpt is you're getting a tone, but you're not getting the story, so I don't really know what's going on at any point so far because I've just read little bits completely out of order. But he's worked really hard on it, and it's going to be good. And it's going to get released, and then he'll finally get paid his money.
Is that how it works? Does he not get paid any advance or anything?
No, how it works with the crowdfunding is all that money sits there, and then when it's actually published, then the money gets paid out.
I did not know that.
Because it's a nice way to do it, because obviously if, let's say, in a month's time, Danny were to go, you know what, I don't want to write a book, fuck this, and just abandoned it, then
I'm going to use this money to set up a jacuzzi filled with jelly.
Well, that's it, but it's nice, because obviously Unbound can just go, oh, okay, we'll just refund everyone. And it's kind of, it's nice, because it's a little non-committal in some senses, versus getting it.
And it's also secure for the people who are backing
exactly.
Because they know they're going to either get what they want, or they're going to get the money back.
I think it's a really honest system, versus something like, you know, if you go to a normal book publisher, they'll ask you to make loads of edits and stuff, and they'll kind of demand stuff, and they'll give you in advance and say, you know, it needs to be in at this time. You can't delay it at all, even if it's going to be worse if you rush it out, blah, blah, blah. And it gives a lot of control. It's nice. It's just obviously, you get paid after the fact. And the longer it takes, obviously, as I found out, turns out it's not a very well-paying job being an author. Like, you can see the book sold.
I'm not sure like anyone. I'm pretty sure that was a known fact.
No, I know. It's just like, it's that classic thing. You know when like people look on Patreon, right? And they see the amount of money, like people look at our Patreon and say, oh, you're making like this much a month. It's like, we're spending $3,000 on fucking art prints alone, for fuck's sake. I spend $1,000 a month on stamps, John. Stamps!
Well, that's look, your collection issues are your own.
I will say...
Find a new hobby.
No,
find a better hobby.
No, you want to know something fun? Right, this month, right? For this month's prints that I'm about to ship out, I got special stamps for the first time. I have special art stamps. There are Oddman stamps.
Oh, shit.
Oddman stamps. The one's going to Europe.
What stamps?
Oddman.
Oh, like, wait, Wallace and Gromit stamps?
Well, no Oddman. So, like...
You paid extra for Gromit stamps.
No, they're the same price. The 185 ones
I feel like you shouldn't be trusted with the company credit card if you're going around buying £1,000 of Gromit stamps.
Instead of
This feels like the
£1,000
sort
of
of
regular stamps, they're more interesting than regular stamps. They cost the same amount of money. This one has Timmy on, the sheep. These ones have Sean and Blitzer. There's Robin, the thing, and then these ones have Rocky and Ginger and Feathers McGraw.
Who the fuck is Timmy?
He's the little baby sheep in Shaun the Sheep.
There's no... Oh, wait, you mean the TV series, not the film?
I think he was in the film.
I've seen that film several times, but I've never seen the TV series, and I've never heard of Timmy the sheep.
He's a little weeny little cunt with a bear in his bag.
Okay, just hear me out here.
Yeah.
Is what happened... You went to the post office.
No, I didn't.
And you were about to go in. You were just, we're going like, oh no, I'm Matt. I'm holding a big bag of money to buy my stamps.
Wow.
And there was a man outside in a trench coat.
Okay.
And he just said, "Hey kid, you want to buy some stamps?
Okay, yeah.
I got some special stamps here. They're like Wallace and Graham stamps." And like, look, it's the Sean on this one. It's the sheep's. And you said, "But sir, the sheep doesn't look like that." "Oh yeah, that's because that's it's Timmy. He's like Sean's little brother." So, "Oh, that sounds very good, sir. Here, have all my money. Here you go. Have your fucking stuff." I can't believe that fucking worked.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Gone.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Is that what happened outside the post office?
Yeah,
You've been fucking ripped off with fake stamps.
I can't buy them.
Have you spent £1,000 on fake fucking stamps?
You can't buy that many stamps from the post office, John.
What the fuck's the post office for if you can't buy stamps?
You can buy stamps, you just can't buy that many stamps. They don't have that many stamps. If I go in and
if I went to the post office right now and I had 1,000 letters and I said, "Excuse me, good sir, I need 1,000 stamps," they'd be like, "No, you can't post that many letters. What the fuck do you think this is, a post office?"
Actually, two things. A, they wouldn't have enough stamps to sell you for them, so they would refuse. And B, originally, when we started doing the prints, was taking them to the post office, and the third time I did, they refused to take them. Because it was too many. So yes and yes to both your questions.
What?
Yes, because the post office basically...
The post office refused to take your post.
Yes.
Because you were posting too much, even though you was posting a legitimate amount and wanted to buy the legal postage.
Yes, because...
The post office wouldn't let you buy the postage, and if you bought the postage elsewhere, like from the guy outside with the trench coat, they wouldn't take the letters.
Well, there's two things. A, for that scale, they expect you to be a business, right?
And you are a business!
Well, this is the thing. If you're a business, A, there's a business store, and you're supposed to just buy everything online. I buy the stamps online. B, they say, well, because it's a Royal Mail... Their whole thing, they were like, "Oh, we have to cancel all the stamps," which is like putting like using the ink stamp on top of them to make them like we've used them. When you give them to the post office apparently have to do that to them. And they didn't want to because it was 700 envelopes. And they refused. And they...
Are you sure your local post office isn't just the most lazy, incompetent fuckers in the entire postal
genuinely,
service?
The biggest reason is because the post office and Royal Mail are different businesses, and they're both private. And it's an incredibly overly bureaucratic and messy and unrefined...
Okay, this is news to me. Wait, what?
Yeah, no.
The post office and Royal Mail are distinct legal entities.
Yeah, when many things were privatised, they were made separate and sold off to different companies.
So what, the post office is a company that runs all the post offices, and they contract Royal Mail to handle delivery?
Kind of. How it works...
What?
How it works is that the post office... It's the reason you see the post offices offering, like, insurance and shit now, because they don't really make money from posting things. It's like a cinema.
But the post office doesn't post things.
Well, Royal Mail posts things.
But the post office doesn't post things.
Not directly, no.
The post office is just a series of rooms which holds onto your post for you and then hands them off to someone who does the posting.
Yes.
A company that isn't the post.
Yes.
Duff.
Yeah, isn't it needlessly
feels
bureaucratic? Great, isn't it?
This feels like I think you've been scammed on several levels here.
No.
So you bought Timmy stamps, took your letters inside, they wouldn't take them, and then when you eventually did persuade them to take them, they didn't agree to actually post them. They just said, we'll leave them here and hand them to someone else who might post them.
Yes. Now, what I do currently is I have to call...
And none of that seems wrong to you.
No, it seems very wrong.
Not one stage of it.
No, it's a massive faff. Apparently, it's all bad. What I have to do now is I have to call Royal Mail once a month, right? Tell them to come and pick it up as a business collection, then pay for the collection over the phone, because it's fucking 2003, apparently. Then... that collections manager sends an email to another person in their department, who then forwards that email to the head of my local delivery office, who then forwards that email to the head of collections for that local delivery office, and then they might pick it up on the day I asked.
This sounds like something that's been invented for a book about, a ridiculously inefficient bureaucracy that couldn't possibly be real.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, this sounds like something you'd make up if you were like, a bad faith person trying to pretend, oh, look how bad the post office is. Let's privatize it more or something.
Yeah, it's a mess. And it's funny as well, because the head...
Well, thank God we privatized this system so we got rid of bureaucracy and waste.
The collections manager, right, gave me his personal phone number and said, if you book or cancel a collection, phone me directly, because 50% of the time I just don't get the email. And I'm like, what? And then the first one...
Is this...
one time.
I'm just wondering if there's like the world's... If somewhere in Britain there is just a giant pit where all the mail that falls through the many cracks in the system ends up like a disused quarry outside Durham.
Yeah, but you know what's really surprising, though? What's really surprising about all of this, and one of the reasons I still use them, is because even with all of that, all the fucking mail gets there. All of it. Every single one. They've never lost a bit of a mail, ever.
How can it if you're saying half the time the guy who arranged the collection doesn't even get the email?
Well, he'll just come later.
How does it get anywhere?
Well, he might not turn up, and then I'm like, where, Are
there just so many layers of redundancy built into this system
I had a guy not turn up for 4 days in a row and calling the people 4 days in a row. Turned out the reason was because the collections manager was on holiday and the person who was filling in didn't have access to the email. and then they came and then they sent someone to collect it, but the guy who came to collect it was like, I'm on my lunch break and my van's empty and I don't have any bags. And I'm like, okay. So I just suspiciously put these 3 boxes of mail in the back of his empty van. He drove off. But once they get in the post office...
I'm suspicious that the entire post office Royal Mail is being run by the mafia.
It does feel a bit like that. But all the mail gets where it's going.
This does all feel like organised crime has just moved in and taken this over, and everyone's too polite or afraid of their knees being broken to say anything about it.
Yeah, but then we got the other element of the strikes. Loads of strikes, right? And every time Royal Mail are like, oh, we're losing £1 million a day. They made fucking 280 million of profit last year, and then they paid 125 million on fucking shareholder dividends. Fucking losing £1 million a day. But they won't make it any better because they don't want to spend the money. You're saying they don't have any. That's the argument. That's literally it. It's ridiculous. But it turns out, you know what's even funnier? You know how many ways there are to send an envelope?
You put it in a post box, you put it in a parcel delivery box?
No. There's like fucking 7 different ways to send an envelope.
Well, I mean, like, you mean like if you go to a post office and like, you post them and you get to choose like whether you want it next day recorded or first or second class or something?
I mean ways to do the exact same thing.
Explain.
You can put a label on it and a stamp, right? Like normal.
Yeah.
You can buy a franking machine.
That you can do, that's true.
You print the post directly on it. You can make it machine-readable, mail-marked, which is different to a franking machine.
I mean, any process that takes the humans you're dealing with out of the equation seems positive, to be honest.
You can use click and drop, which prints the postage directly onto the label with the address. Then there's another system, which I don't actually know how it works, because Royal Mail's help pages for these are a PDF of about 700 pages of technical information about the system, which I don't understand. And I'll call them and be like, hello, Royal Mail, I need to send mail and I'm doing this, help. And they'll be like, oh, you're sending parcels. And I'm like, no. And then...
You're sending what, large envelopes, they officially?
No, normal envelopes. Just...
Oh, really? I thought they were too heavy or long to be a normal envelope.
A5.
I thought they'd officially be a large
They're
envelope.
exactly they're the largest size a normal letter can be. But it's the thing.
Oh, no wonder they fucking hate you.
Well, but this is the thing, right? All this nonsense happens, right? I call them to make a business account initially, right? You know what you have to do? You go onto the website, the business account website. They had a little form.
Yeah.
And they were like, right, to get a business account, fill in the form and we'll call you back at some point. Just random.
I'm guessing you did this like last year and it still hasn't happened.
Oh, no, they did it last year. And then they tried to call me about a week and a half later when I was busy.
Yeah,
So I didn't answer it. And they left a voicemail being like, oh, we assume you're not interested. So if you want us to call you again, fill the form out. And I'm like, so if I miss the call that they will randomly make at some point in a space of 3 weeks. It's the most convoluted bullshit. Oh, it's just a fucking... Oh, it's funny as shit, mate. Oh.
I like how the starting process is people should be able to get envelopes from point A to point B, and somehow it eventually became this.
Yeah, but on the plus side, I have Wallace and Gromit stamps. So.
Like, probably.
Yeah. Although I did buy a gay
fuck
50p from the post office the other week.
So, if you go to the post office, you can't do post, but you can buy gay 50p.
Well, actually, when I say the post office, I mean the post office website, which is also Royal Mail's
How
website.
much does a gay 50p cost? Does it cost 50p?
Well, it was a collection of like a few gay stamps and an actual Royal minted 50p that had like pride written on the back of it. It was like a $5, but it's a real 50p.
Okay, that you can spend.
I mean, if I
in
want,
shops.
I'm not going to, but I could.
Well, I think you should. I think it would be nice if it was just to be in circulation, wouldn't it?
But I like-
Wouldn't it be nice if just, occasionally there's just a 50p floating around?
Yeah, but you just know, like, some fucking bigot's gonna get it. Like, whoa, my bloody coins, whoa.
Well, yeah, but like you two could play that game. You could get like some really nice, like inky pens that write on metal, and like you could just add a rainbow wig to Charles and all the new coins.
Actually,
like
there were two.
Let's fucking start this. All
There
right,
were
let's
two
fucking
gay
start a
50Ps.
war where we're just all going around desperately either writing on or scraping rainbows off coins
Genuinely,
all the time.
Right, there were two of them. They had the one I got, which was a normal one, but the other one had a completely coloured in back. Which would be amazing, just a fully coloured 50p. And I love the idea of putting them in circulation, but they were about 30 quid each. I didn't buy them. Post office, wow.
Amazing. They can't do post, but they can do that.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I mean, barely do post. Barely.
Apparently, I've been scamming people with not real money. Actually, I learned this the other day.
Oh.
I said a little. I've got like a little jar of change, and if ever a neighbor grabs something or whatever, if they're at a store and they drop it off to us, I just kind of give them money out of the thing. Apparently, the most recent time we did this, the neighbor came back and said to me, "This isn't legal currency. It was old pound coins."
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, these haven't been money for like 5 years. I have been handing these out to various people and using them as change and using them for this, that, and the other for years.
Yeah, and
no one. And I've just been defrauding people
Well, this is the thing.
all that time.
If you were a black man in America, you would have been murdered by the police for it.
Yeah.
Fun facts. Fun.
Oh dear.
Fun George Floyd facts. But you know what's even funnier? Maybe not
Gosh.
funnier.
I'm not sure.
Related to all the coins, if you have any stamps, if they don't have a barcode on them, they're not valid after the end of this year.
Barcode?
Yeah, new stamps have barcodes.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a stamp with a barcode.
Yeah, all the new stamps have barcodes.
On the front or the back?
On the front, it's part of the stamp.
I've never seen one of them.
John, I send you the
just go
prints.
to the post office. Apparently, my post office works better than yours. I can buy stamps there.
No, I send
just
you the
go in
prints.
and can I have a book of stamps? They give me a little thing of stamps.
When you get the prints from me, the stamp has a barcode on it.
I've never noticed
Have
it.
a look. It's got a barcode. You know what the barcode can do?
I mean, presumably be scanned by a barcode reader.
No, right. You can use your phone and scan it, and you can have a video message as part of your stamp for some fucking reason.
So it's not a barcode. It's like a just a variant of QR code.
Well, yeah, it's a scannable code, which I think they also use to track whether the stamp has been used or not. I think that's their way of modern being like, oh, this stamp.
Oh, like the equivalent of the old stamp on top of the stamp to mark the stamp's been used.
I think if they just scan them now, which makes more sense, but still. But the Wallace and Gromit stamps don't have a barcode on them. They don't need to. They're still valid forever because they have a sheep on it.
Because they've got Timmy,
Yeah.
the completely real character
Timmy.
in the Wallace and Gromit cinematic universe.
He is. I don't know what you're
Good old Timmy. And then there's Derek from A Matter of Loaf and Death, everyone's favourite character.
Wait, is it? We have Timmy?
Derek the Baker.
We got Timmy, we got Morph and Chaz, we got Robin.
What? None of these are characters.
Sean and Blitzer. You know Sean and Blitzer.
Sean is okay. Who the fuck's Blitzer?
Blitzer's the dog in Sean the Sheep. He's the dog. He's the sheepdog.
Is he a reindeer?
No,
It's an odd name to give to something that's not
one
a
of the
reindeer.
main
That's
characters
a name.
in the fucking film that you said you've seen, John.
There's no dog aside from Gromit in a close shave.
No, I call Sean the Sheep. The film Sean the Sheep.
There's a film, Shaun the Sheep?
Yes, there's two of them and
No.
they're really good.
Oh, I've seen A Close Shave. I've not seen the Shaun the Sheep films. I thought that was a TV series.
When I said the Sean the Sheep film, I assumed you knew I was referring to the film.
I just assumed
the
you
Shaun
meant
the
A
Sheep film.
Close Shave and you were too much of a dumbass to remember the name. And there's like the big dog who turns out to be a robot, and there's Gromit, and that's it for dogs.
Watch the Shaun the Sheep movie. It's really good. No one talks.
Which one? If I skip straight to the second one, will I not know what's going on in the continuity?
No, it's just a really
Who
good.
dies in the
Watch
first?
the first one. It's just really good. It's all. They don't have any voices at all. It's all just like it's like classic Lego game acting, which I really enjoy. It's really really good. It's a really good film. Because it's a spin-off of a spin-off, obviously. And it's a good album film. But yes, John. All of these characters are from the Shaun the Sheep TV show / film. Separate one.
The extended Wallace and Gromit cinematic universe.
Yes, the extended WGCU.
We need to have a Wallace and Gromit feature that's mainly about Wallace struggling with the fact there's too many characters in his universe and he can't figure out who they all are
Yeah,
anymore.
because then obviously you've got the Chicken Run universe, which I think is also in the Wallace and Gromit universe technically. Because you've got Rocky and Ginger, and then obviously I don't know who Feathers McCraw is. He's a penguin with a glove on his head.
Yeah. Well, he's just a master criminal and master of disguise.
Yeah, but they're the stamps.
He doesn't need to be anyone.
I'm also a bit worried. These stamps, right? I've never bought these special issue stamps before, but you know how normal stamps have like a lot of anti-security security things on, like money. Like
You kind of notice these ones look a little bit almost like they've been hand drawn in someone's garage.
no, they don't look hand drawn, but they are clearly just printed, and they've put the Queen's face on it, and the second and the word second, and that's a stamp. But now, okay.
So how do you fit the Queen's head and Timmy on the one stamp? This feels crowded.
There's a tiny little Queen's head on the top.
Does Queen look like she's about to snog Timmy?
No, it's like a tiny.
They're facing each
it's
other.
a tiny single white.
Is it like
head
Lady
in
and the
top left.
Tramp?
It's
And
a
there's a little
silhouette.
bit of spaghetti between
It's an
Timmy and the
icon
Queen.
of the Queen's head, which I don't know why it has the Queen's head, because these were just printed now, and it feels a bit. I feel like your trench coat guy has not been putting all his I
effort.
bought
think
these
he
from
was
the Royal
surprised he got
Mail
away with this
website,
shit.
John. No trench coat involved. They shipped them to me in a packet. I tell you, a packet.
Oh, in a packet.
Yeah.
Oh, if it came through the Royal Mail, it must be legitimate.
Well, actually, they can only come
from
through.
from legitimaterealstamps.com.
They can only come through Royal Mail.
You can only send stamps by
Genuinely,
Royal Mail.
most other couriers in their prohibited items list are stamps. You can't send stamps.
If I like call up DPD and say, hey, I've got a packet full of stamps, they'll be like, oh fuck, I'm
Oh,
not touching
DPD.
that.
DPD won't take most things. DPD.
We don't take we don't take explosives, heroin, or stamps.
DPD's prohibited
the
items
three
list,
forbidden
John.
items.
DPD's prohibited items list basically lists every product known to man. Items with value, items with sentimental value, delicate items.
I'm gonna miss.
art,
Whenever I
not
need something
art.
couried, I never look at the forbidden items list. I just sort of package it up and say I'm sending an item.
Well,
its value's about 30 quid. Come
I
get
did
it. And they
this,
just do.
but I shipped.
We just don't ask, don't tell of postage.
I shipped a parcel with DHL the other week. They came to the fucking door to take it. It was actually the box full of all the prints that I shipped to me. Shipped from Dan and Rebecca. It came to the door. And he goes, right, I just have to look inside. And I'm like, what do you mean you have to look inside? It's like, oh, we have to search all the packages. And I'm like,
What?
What? It's like, oh yeah.
This doesn't happen in the civilized parts of the UK. I don't know what the fuck's going on up there with you.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we have to search because if you have an account with us, we don't have to because you're already vetted. But if you just buy with cash or card, we have to search. And I'm like, for what? And he's like, money, stamps, drugs. And I'm like, okay. And then he opened up.
This doesn't happen in normal civilization.
But what was really funny is I watched this man, right? We opened up the package. And so I have loads of original Xbox games and Rebecca's that I've just bought from CEX near them. And we just kind of use them as void fill for the prints. So I get some of them sent to me, but it's also void fill. So this guy opens up the thing, sees a few Xbox games, and then has to open up each cartridge, take out each box, take out the disc, take out the little...
And show them one by one to his sniffer dog in case...
Well, he took the guides out and he flipped through the guides, like looking for stamps. And I'm like, why would I... What's happening?
This feels like something that's going on in an incredibly corrupt third world nation.
Yeah, it's all...
This doesn't feel like something that should be happening,
What I've learned, John, is... All I've learned the past year of doing this is shipping is needlessly convoluted for no reason whatsoever. In the UK,
this doesn't
especially.
happen when I need to send something to to family for a niece or nephew's birthday.
Yeah.
I put it in a fucking bag. I write their address on the front. Yeah. I buy a little stamp thing from the machine. I slap it on. I give it to them, and it gets there the following day.
Yeah, it's nice
and
being
at
able
no
to do that,
point
isn't
do
it?
I get interrogated and it's ripped open and searched for drugs or stamps, which are worse apparently.
Just DHL. Also, the reason
I choose a company that doesn't tear open your packages.
I'm not using them anymore.
Stamps.
I only use them once. But the reason they don't like stamps because they're not allowed to send cash either, right? And the reason obviously stamps aren't allowed is because stamps are effectively just cash.
Very low value cash, but sure.
You say that, but these sheets of stamps I get for the US ones, right? Let me just unfurl this. This is a because they're worth $2.50 each. Yeah.
$2.50.
No, £2.50 each.
Well, you just said they're American.
No, they're international stamps, but that's the international postage. And there are 6 by 10. So there's 60 stamps on this one sheet, worth £2.55 each, which is an amount of money. 60 times £2.55. It's £153 for this single sheet.
Wow.
Which is obviously like 3 £50 notes in one sheet. And obviously, their value is that exact value written on the stamp. So it's cash, basically. I mean, you can't exchange it for goods and services, but they're worth exactly.
So in theory, you could send a relative amount of de facto currency via the post. But why can't I just send de facto currency via the post?
One of the reasons they don't like you sending stamps is, unlike money, stamps are often used for money laundering or illegal transfer of funds that aren't traced.
So if I wanted to buy some black tar heroin, I would buy it using first class stamps.
I don't know the heroin market and stamp. I don't know what the exchange rate is with heroin and stamp, but I know it is used.
Two books of first class stamps for one small box of black tar heroin, or however it is black tar heroin comes. I assume in a little box.
Well, yeah, it does list heroin and stuff like that in all the prohibited items list. But one of the best prohibited items list, I think it's DPDs, lists human flesh and human remains separately. And I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Is it?
Oh, I mean, I think I'd be more upset if someone used my courier service to transport a corpse than if they used it to transfer a book of stamps.
Yeah, but I mean, but what I mean is they say both. Like, if I put some bits of a human in a box and they're like, that's human flesh, I'm like, actually, it's human remains. I'm like, oh, whoops, got him. You know, we better take this arm and a leg and take them on.
Maybe they just want to be as specific as possible, just in case.
Well, I feel it's a very broad category. Dead human bits, like just human bits generally, really.
Well, I don't know, but then we get into, okay, what happens if I want to, send, my fingernail clippings to someone? What if there's, an e-girl out there who specifically services the people who are really into like fingernails. There's going to be someone out there who's really into fingernails, and I bet they'd pay a good amount on OnlyFans for like fingernail shots, and they'll pay £100 for her fingernail clippings.
Okay,
bet that's something. How a fingernails covered?
Well, I don't think they consider that.
Are they remains?
Okay, no, I wouldn't.
Is hair?
Okay, I wouldn't consider.
Can I send hair?
I wouldn't consider hair or nails human remains or human flesh. And I just that entire scenario you listed is concerning to me.
So I can't send a book of stamps, but I can send bits of my own cut-off body.
Well, if it's hair or
within
nails.
reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that not strike you as the wrong way round?
I do agree it's convoluted. That's the whole point of this conversation, John, is like it's needlessly convoluted, yes. Yes, I do agree. This is the whole point.
So in conclusion, coming next week, the many a true nerd's hair and nail clippings are OnlyFans.
Oh, you'd make a killing, John. You'd make a killing.
Yeah, apparently we could do that, and the Royal Mail will be my knowing accomplices in this sexy business.
Yeah, and then they won't
There's
ship.
nothing they could do to stop me.
That should be on strike.
Coming soon with Derek the Walrus. Shaun the Sheep stamp.
That probably is a
make it
character
more
called
wholesome.
Derek the Walrus.
That way, no one else in your house is gonna like. If you got a box that had like a little Shaun the Sheep character on it, you'd never think, "Oh, that's a weird fucking fetish thing you've ordered off OnlyFans." You think, "Oh, that's cute."
I mean,
I think that helps take the suspicion off you.
I mean, you could send it. I mean, they do a lot of special stamps. They do Transformers stamps. They do. Star Trek stamps. They
do you do those little like stamps where if you you turn it like the picture moves, whatever that technology is.
No,
called.
I don't think they don't do. I think that'd be.
I'd pay extra for like little optical illusion.
I think
stamps,
that might be a little too.
Where
expensive.
the Queen gives you, like a cheeky wink as you turn her head.
Did you just say a slur? Did you just accidentally say a slur? That's gonna be in someone's soundboard. I've done that too many times. Ooh,
a cheeky wink.
Yeah, that's what the Queen would say, though, isn't it? That's what she would say.
No, okay, so add that to the list of things not to say in case it goes wrong in future.
Yeah. Oh, they do a Heroes of COVID sheet.
Is it just like nurses and shit?
Yeah, there's one of the old man. What was his name? Tom. What was his name? Tom.
Captain Tom.
Yeah, one's got Captain Tom on, and there's a couple of nurses.
Who raised the thing, and presumably... Is it like that woman who was the first person to get the vaccine?
Yeah, no, it's just a load of art of, like, first responders and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
That's reasonable.
Yeah, they got Commonwealth Game ones. They've got the country, England definitive stamps. Christmas stamps, obviously, with angels on them. Transformers stamps, of course. We've got Star Trek stamps of all the captains. Which captain do you want, John?
Picard, the best one.
You can have Picard.
Maybe Janeway. I like Janeway.
You can have Janeway. You can have Michael Burnham as
Not
well.
Archer.
If you want.
No one wants Archer.
I don't want Archer. I like Archer. I like this dog.
They didn't actually have Archer. They didn't bother putting him on.
It wouldn't actually surprise me if they didn't have Archer. If you can get in memoriam, or you can get cats. They have every type of stamp you can get as a cat stamp.
I thought about to say they have every type of cat. I was like, yeah, that's true. The cats don't really have that many breeds. That's reasonable. Every type of dog might be more difficult. There's some really obscure ones.
Yeah, I don't think they have any dog ones. They have FA Cup ones of all the different FA Cups.
They literally don't have dog stamps.
Well, they got bird stamps.
Who the fuck is making these decisions?
Pride stamps.
Oh yeah, let's have a series of characters from the extended Wallace and Gromit cinematic universe, but not dogs. Who the fuck likes dogs?
The country.
More
trees,
fucking Wallace and Gromit spin-off
Scotland
stamps.
Wales stamps. Transformers Dinobot stamps.
That's thing about the Welsh stamps is you can just reuse some of the leftovers from the Shaun the Sheep movie.
Oh, here we go. You go on to the Chinese, and now you go on to the Welsh. Do you want to be racist to anyone else, John? Now that Dan's not here to temper your racism. Oh, he's off on it now. Oh, slanty eyes, this fucking... Oh, blackface, that's what John's doing. Every time at John's house, I get in, he's doing blackface, he's holding his fucking eyes up. You know, doing a South Park, and I'm like, John, stop. And he's like, I don't care. Dan's not here to stop me.
It's Shaun the Sheep.